So I'm watching White Lotus, and the Indian therapist is going. That's why it's funny. You mentioned right before we started recording right now that your monkey mind or whatever to silence it. But I was watching the therapist on that show say, "Silence your monkey mind," and then of course, like in White Lotus fashion, the gunshots start going off and nobody knows what's going on in the background.
Oh,
crazy.
Such a good show.
I was hoping I didn't mention White Lotus season 3 to you, Zach, yet because I was like, there's no way Zach has watched it with everything's going on this past weekend.
I haven't. I didn't even know it came out yet.
Such a good show, man. That's like such a good show.
Audience, you're hearing an unfamiliar voice. It's because we're kicking off a new series on the Story Archives podcast. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are officially doing I guess call it like a conversation, Story Archives Convos or whatever. But this is episode 1, and we got a very special guest. It's only right. It just made sense. Everything sort of aligned with it because I was recently interviewed on his podcast called Café con Pod. And I've known this guy since we were jits in high school, 16, 17 years old, acting with each other in our high school's drama program. He actually played my father in a play called Our Town by Thornton Wilder. And now he's a very successful actor on several TV shows. I mean, right now he's known for his role in Dexter Original Sin, playing Geo. And he's also been in Westworld. We got to talk about his experience working with Jonathan Nolan. He's also been in a movie that maybe many of you have seen. It went number 1 or 2 on Netflix for a bit. I think it was at least a week or 2, right, Isaac, or something like that?
Yeah, number 2 for 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's called That's Amor. And he plays Matias. He plays the cook who woos the girl who's having a very difficult time with love.
Spanish
and so without further ado, I welcome Isaac Gonzalez Rossi to Story Archives. Welcome, Isaac.
Thanks, dude. I feel like calling it turtleneck talks.
Dude, everybody, we start rolling. Isaac doesn't have a turtleneck before we start. Then Zach has one because Zach is Mr. Turtleneck. And then now I'm going to zip mine up because I feel insecure showing my neck now. So
you got to get that little neck hug. It keeps you nice and warm.
Yeah, dude, I was going to say, I'm starting to get so hot. I know we've only been on for like 10 minutes. I'm so hot already.
I lowered the AC to 70 because I'm wearing a quarter zip. And there's literally no occasion. I'm sorry, I can't do the turtleneck. There's zero occasion for me to own a turtleneck down here in South Florida.
So. What's the weather? You said you lowered the AC to 70, which makes me think that you had the AC higher than 70, which means that it's higher than 70 out there today.
72 right now.
Yeah,
it's not too bad because we have a cold front coming in. Our cold front. Friday will be 57.
That's pretty cold in South Florida. But I mean, the thing, I always tell people this too, in South Florida, when it gets cold, since it's so damp and so humid, it's almost worse than other places that are dry. You know, so 50, high 40s in South Florida is rough. Yeah, I mean, it's not like New York rough, but it's rough.
Texas is damn cold, though. I've been to Texas when it's like really cold. Hold on. Like when you said the humidity thing, humid heat is definitely actually. I don't know. I'm used to Florida heat.
Humid heat is better than dry heat, dog.
Yeah.
Dry heat is worse.
Yeah,
I think because at least this is my argument. I've had this argument out here too. So in humidity, you're sweating at least. So if you're moving, your arms, you at least feel a little
moisture.
Moisturized. That's the word I was looking for. But when you're out in the dry heat, you're like in an oven.
Yeah, Texas feels like you're getting broiled, like you're just on high heat. It's crazy. Before we go too far down the rabbit hole of combos, I do want to let the audience know we're starting something new here. So we're going to be talking about. I mean, we're going to have guests on talking about mainly production, creative fields, but the combos are going to go everywhere. So maybe for some of you, that's not your cup of tea. Whatever. Maybe for some of you, you're new to the show. We also cover TV shows and do commentary on shows that we're watching. Zach, I haven't even brought you in yet. How are you doing here today? We're going to get into all sorts of topics. We'll talk about Isaac's acting career, his process, his journey, all those things. And then we're going to dive into a bunch of rabbit holes. So it's going to be a long, fun combo. And we got the whiskey pouring. So Zach, with that being said, what are you drinking tonight over there, sir?
I'm drinking some Old Forester. It's 100 proof. It's good. I'm surprised. Like it's a nice budget bottle, but it tastes great. So
how much, if you don't mind me asking? Like, because I say when I find good red wine, I like to try to find a bottle that's somewhere between like a good bottle between $20 and $40 so that I can at least buy it with regularity, But you find those bottles are like 70 plus, it's tough,
Yeah, it is tough. I would say I think it's around like 20, maybe $30.
Okay, that's perfect.
So yeah, it's a legit budget bottle, but I was genuinely surprised. I was saving this for like my last bottle until I get a restock, and I'm like, that's not going to be that great. It's not going to be that great. It's solid. It's solid. I opened it up last night, drinking some more tonight. I love it.
Perfect. How about you, Isaac?
I'm hitting some Glenfiddich 12.
Okay.
It's very nice. I've been sipping it and I'm like, oh boy, that's a little bit too nice. It's a little bit too easy.
I think once we get like to the second glass, the show's gonna get loose. I'm drinking a bourbon that my cousin got me for Christmas called Walcott from, I don't know where it's from. No idea where it's from, but Kentucky made bourbon.
Oh, I want to go to Kentucky.
I've never been.
Me either.
You were the only person that I went to school with that had any sort of inclination towards getting into film storytelling like I did. Honestly, the only person I can actually think of off the top of my head. You correct me if I'm wrong. If there's another person that we're absolutely leaving out of here, but
do you remember Aaron Sheeks?
Yeah,
were you there with Aaron Sheeks?
Did he play baseball?
Baseball player. Yeah,
he played baseball. Yeah, but he left.
Yeah, he left. But I saw a few years ago. I don't know how randomly. You know how like people pop up on your Instagram or whatever.
Yeah,
that he he is. I think he's acting.
Okay.
Do you remember Candace in my grade? Her name was Candace Singleton.
Yes, I do remember her.
She's in Atlanta. She went to FSU.
Oh,
and she went to
I'm leaving somebody out. Do you remember Shawnee?
Yeah.
Shawnee's a writer out there.
She's out here. She went to USC. Yeah, I auditioned for.
Either she's in Hollywood or she's in Atlanta. I don't remember.
No, she was out here. I don't know if she's still out here. I haven't seen her in a minute, but I used to see her. So I used to see her, and she was she's a writer and a director, and I auditioned for a couple of her student films when she was at USC.
Very nice, very nice. Well,
I didn't mean to cut off your train of thought.
No, you're good, bro. You're good. There was none. There usually is none. But so you went to UCF. That was kind of like because there wasn't a lot of acting opportunities where we came up from. I mean, we're from South Florida. There's not a lot of you got to go really search for it, or maybe come up in a family that was doing it. But how did you take your acting career? How did you get it off the ground? Essentially, what was the roadmap for you when you left high school?
Okay, good. So that's what I was going to ask. You want me to go from high school to college?
Give us the TLDR, however deep you want.
Yeah, I'll give you the Reader's Digest. I saw The Dark Knight when I was 16, changed my life. I didn't think that acting was a career, like Mario just said, coming from where we come. And as McConaughey says, it wasn't in the vernacular of my dreams. It wasn't. I wasn't something that I could properly say. So I don't know. I just thought about being a doctor, an architect, whatever. My mom was a choir teacher at our school for many, many years. And my dad's small business owner, but he moonlights as a singer. He sang with the South Florida Ballet. So I grew up around the arts a lot. Anyways, long story short, that movie just kind of put it into my brain that you could make money doing this, or at least somebody would pay you. You could make a living. And when I left DCS, I knew I wanted to leave home, but my parents said I had to stay in state. So UCF was just far enough away, 3 hours, that if they wanted to visit me, they would have to tell me. They couldn't just show up unannounced. And it was close enough to home that if anything happened, I could go back home easily. And then by happenstance, when we went up to UCF just to take a look at it, my mom told me, hey, there's auditions for the acting school when we're going to be up there. Do you want to audition? I was like, sure. So I didn't know.
You went up there without getting into the acting program.
Correct. I was undeclared.
Okay. Interesting. So you then decided that. Now, did you, I'm going to make a wild guess here, but I already know the answer to it. What inspired you about The Dark Knight?
Oh,
I know the answer already, but let the audience know, what is, everybody knows who's watched The Dark Knight what it is, but
I mean, Maggie Gyllenhaal was just unbelievable.
That was the actual thing for me personally.
She was amazing, but Heath Ledger. I mean, Heath Ledger changed that man changed my life. God rest his soul. Mm-hmm. So just seeing him on that and the amount of freedom, I just couldn't get it out of my brain. I don't know how to describe it. I couldn't stop thinking about it, how free he was. He had such a short, I think it's him and I don't remember who else, but he has one of the shortest amounts of screen time in a movie that won the Oscar for what he won for Best Supporting. I think he was on screen for 18 minutes in The Dark Knight.
Wow.
If we're gonna do revisionist history here, or not revisionist history, let's just look back on history. Up till then, and you watching these superhero movies, I know the first Spider-Man was great, right? Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. The first two were good.
Batman, I will. Batman, the Burton Batman
we're good.
I think it's in that vein.
Agreed. But what I was going with is the movies might have been good, but there was, up until Dark Knight, there was yet to be a performance that was like, damn, that could win an Oscar. Good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Nicholson, maybe for Joker. I don't know. It depends. See, I had this. He is very memorable, and I had this conversation with somebody recently. Oh, because they're not a fan of the Nolan Batmans. He said they're overrated, and I think
the third was not great.
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was a perfect punctuation to the story arc. I thought it was beginning, middle, and end.
Well, I guess put it this way: it's not like it was a bad film or anything like that. I'm just saying, when you compare it, like, I think the first two are so good and how do you top The Dark Knight? You can't.
You can't.
That's the thing.
It's you're fighting an unwinnable battle at that point.
100%.
So I like Hardy, so I think he was awesome. And I don't know, man. I'm just a sucker. I'm biased. I can't have this conversation because I'm so biased. I can't see it objectively. Like, I wrote a paper to myself about why I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Okay. Yeah, dude. So, anyways, that's about the Dark Knight. What got me interested in acting, and how somebody could do that blew my mind. It still blows my mind.
I remember you actually used the Dark Knight monologue for your first ever drama audition, and it had nothing to do with the role. It was just like you went in there. What'd you do? The "Why So Serious" monologue?
No, I did the ha 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 ha, and I thought
when he walks into the mob.
Yeah. I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! That one, I did that one. I did that's it. And I remember Spee looking at me and Spee going, "All right, that was really weird. I'm sure we can find something for you." I just remember that's what he told me. He's like, we'll find something for you. And I was like, okay. And then we did Our Town, and I did indeed play your father by not coincidence, but consequentially, because of things that happened and circumstances. I got the role like 3 days before we opened. That's something else I remember,
which is great. And I remember voting you in. I remember playing a role and making sure you were in there. It also felt, because like at that point, you know, say what you want, but like the school was so small, and I felt like, because the program had just started, I was I was looking down like at the junior class thing, like, who's gonna take the torch here? I was like, who's gonna pick it up? And I saw you, and I was like, it's Isaac. It's nobody else. It's gonna be Isaac who takes the torch here in the drama department. And it was, because we acted in that, and then you killed me in the next play we did, because Spee brought me back as a symbolic sort of passing of the torch, where we did Cyrano de Bergerac, and I fought you in the sword fight, and that was the end of my Dade Christian acting career.
It's on camera, by the way. That's still and the play holds up.
Does it really?
I don't know. I think it's funny. When I watch it, I'm like, we were not that bad. We're tiny children playing Cyrano de Bergerac.
I was talking to, if you remember, because I posted the photos yesterday on my Instagram of teasing the fact that we were going to do this interview. I was talking to.
Is that why?
Yeah, that's why.
I was wondering. I was like, "Oh, that's Tiny Mario."
It's because Isaac was there. That's the only reason I posted him. But I was talking to Ami, who was like a stagehand there, and I was like, "Yeah, remember that play we did? Like, Isaac was like Cyrano. Did they give you a fake nose for that?"
Yes, and then Spee made me walk through snack break and lunch in full costume as Cyrano. He was funny. That was funny.
Spee was our drama teacher, for those who are uninformed or do not know. So,
and also, Zach, just so you know, Mario was the drama guy at DCS. He was the theater department. That was he laid the groundwork
for 1 year.
but enough time in order for it to actually be anything. Without Mario, we wouldn't have had a theater department. That's for sure.
I don't know about
that. That's perfect. I mean, I'm not surprised. You've always been doing some sort of acting in plays. I think when I first met you, you were playing like Peter or Paul, and
in like a church production. Yeah.
Ooh.
I've only done a little bit. I haven't done a lot of acting in a minute. It is my first love, though. 100%. It's definitely the first love. But it's the most interesting thing to me about the genre, about filmmaking, about TV. It's definitely
acting is?
Yeah, always has been. I wouldn't be
really?
in this. Yeah, I wouldn't be in this if I didn't love it. Yeah, 100%.
Why is that the most interesting to you?
It's naturally been the most interesting thing to me. Like just getting into a role, getting lost in a role, getting into the mindset of the character, the motivations of a character, and just that process. To me, there's very few things more interesting than the craft itself. I know, like once you get into the production side of things, you find out how I gotta mute my TV in the other room. It's driving me crazy. But once you get into the production thing, you see like, actors, because when you're a kid, you're ignorant, right? I bet you watched Dark Knight and you were like, I bet you Heath Ledger directed this movie too. Like he did like everything behind the scenes. You just think like an idiot, you know? And you're watching the movies and you think that the actors are like the main show, but then you realize like, oh, wait a minute. As you get older, you're like, oh, there's like 150 people who worked on this thing. You know, it's 200.
Oh, dude.
And you see how the whole thing moves.
The machine. Zach, what's the most interesting part to you? I'm interested because I didn't know that was go for it.
I don't know. I mean, I consider myself more of a boring person. I mean, I was homeschooled, so I didn't like have all of that drama. In fact, the only time I think I've ever done any acting, I feel like I was like 4 or 5 years old. I was so little. I remember I was playing this kid who was like, I wanted to play a game of chess with some other kids that were playing. It wouldn't let me play, so I had to like go sulk in a corner. And one of the people that were playing came and like tried to console me. Ended up being my wife later in life, which was funny. Yeah, so that was interesting. But that's the only experience I have with with acting. I'm much more on like the production side of things. So I like being the man behind the curtains. Not
you like
so
being
much
the wizard
in front of the camera. The Wizard of Oz, yeah, that was exactly what was top of mind when I said that. So, I mean, I've just been doing a lot in terms of production, live production for like sound engineering, lighting engineering. I'm fascinated with like that side of things. I find that the most fun. Trying to like help, I guess, like everybody else's craft like mesh together and come together. So that's where I sit.
Is that how you met your wife for the first time, or no?
No, we met in like kinder music when we were like younger than that.
That's 3? Fantastic. That's fantastic.
Whatever kindergarten is. I don't know. Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah, we known each other for a long time.
And you guys, when did you guys begin to know that there was an inkling of each other, so to speak?
I mean, the romantic in me says like there was like we always kind of liked each other, but no, I think we started dating right at the end of high school. We got married in 2020, actually. So
congratulations, brother!
Yeah, thank you.
I was there the whole time.
Yeah, were you?
I met you.
No, I didn't know you in high school. I don't think I did.
Hold on, when did you start dating her?
What year? I was like 18.
What year?
Like, what year? Jeez. 15, 14,
yeah,
15?
I knew you the whole
14.
time then. Hey.
14, yeah.
Because I met you in 2015.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah, because I started working like right after high school. I think you and I first met in production.
Yeah. So I couldn't find a job for about a year after college because the job market sucked in 2014. It was horrible, and I was looking for a job, and I wanted to stay in something relatively close to production. So I was being pretty stubborn too. I mean, I guess I could have gotten a job anywhere, right? You could always get a job somewhere. But I had a year that was like on my look. And then I ended up working in live production because of my sister. And then I met he had like really long hair, I think, at that point, didn't you? Or did
me?
You?
Oh yeah, I did. It was like halfway down my back.
Yeah, if you show your
wow.
If you show your I don't think when I met you had hair all the way down your back, but if you show your driver's
license, it was
hilarious. That would be really funny.
It's funny. But the sad thing is my driver's license, I still have not updated my profile photo. So like
it's
it's
the best.
literally me as like
You
some
gotta
like
show Isaac.
15-year-old kid.
I really want to see it. You just don't just blur out all the other
stuff.
stuff.
True.
But
you got the number. Just cover
I will
everything
show
up
you
the
after
picture.
the pod.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I have to see that picture.
I mean, I don't think we're big enough.
It's hilarious.
I don't think we're big enough yet that people would just rock us with our driver's license.
I don't know.
But we got haters. We got haters even at like 800, subs or whatever on YouTube. But we got people who are just commenting and be like, it's astounding how much shit you guys miss in an episode. It's absolutely.
Man, if you ain't got haters, if you don't have haters, you ain't doing something right. So here's to the haters.
I love
God
it.
bless you.
Cheers.
Keep hating.
Yeah.
Keep paying our bills.
We got our first. It was like a YouTube rite of passage for us. We got our first comment that said, "Episode starts at blah," and it was a timestamp of when we stopped the intro banter. And I was like, "This is fantastic." I said, "Dude, we made it. I don't care how many subs. If we got a guy who's watching and letting everybody else know, like." Hey, skip all this shit. Skip all that.
The BS.
Yeah. They started talking about this like 5 minutes in.
I have to show you something. Talking about when we made it. So this is one of the things that I'm most proud of from everything that I've done. Is do you guys have the GIF keyboard?
Yes.
Bro, what?
You're a GIF?
Oh, that. Yeah.
Your man's got some GIFs. Let's go.
Who made
not to toot my own horn, but
who made those? You got like some.
I have no idea,
preteen girl like in Spain who made this shit. They're like
whoever it is. Thank
Geo
you.
From Dexter,
God bless you.
Sin. I'm like,
I literally type in Geo Dexter.
And you know what? Though? If that person made those gifts, guaranteed they're gonna listen to this podcast because you only make gifts for somebody like you gotta be like
I guess
you gotta be a fan of.
I guess teeth are looking good though. Thank you, parents.
It was me who made the gifts.
Mario, come on.
It was me, man. You ever seen that gif of Daniel Cormier? He's like shirtless in bed and he's just laughing. No. You never seen that? It'll be if you watch like random reels on IG, if it's a feel good video, it'll be like a father at a baseball game and his son hits a home run. And then you look at the comments and the top one will just be Daniel Cormier just kind of like laughing at his phone screen. It's the funniest.
I love Cormier. He's good TV. Him and Chael Sonnen are good TV.
Yeah, I love the back and forth him and John Bones Jones.
Oh, bro, that I beat you and I was on cocaine. That is one of the coldest lines in MMA history.
Daniel, I would kill you, Daniel.
I would kill you. No, you won't. I would kill you. He is, bro. John Bones Jones is that's a scary dude. He won the heavyweight title, and that same day, he stopped a woman from getting mugged. He literally beat up a mugger on the street, and then he fought that night.
They have backstage footage of Dana White saying, "Have you seen this?" And it's like it's footage of him like stopping a mugger. He's like, "No, John," because that's like Dana's that guy. John Bones Jones is this guy.
He's arguably the best of all time. I know we're going on a little diversion right here, but he's arguably the best of all time.
It's the funniest thing because, maybe the second or third highest performing show we've done on the channel was my Miami Dolphins Hard Knock series where I did the commentary on that. And I never finished. The funniest thing is I never finished it. I got to the final episode when we lost to the Bills in the playoffs. And the Chiefs, I think we lost in the playoffs. And I just didn't do the last episode. We just went off. I should have went back on as a complimentary episode and said, guys, what can I say? What can I say?
Being a Dolphins fan is rough.
We got sports fans, though, in the audience because I have we got a audience member who DMs me on IG a bunch of Manchester because I'm a Manchester United fan. So
I like the Gunners. I'm a Gunners fan.
You're an Arsenal fan? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just like the Gunners.
They never win. So.
They're not terrible. They've been pretty good the past couple seasons.
They're the second best team in the Prem right now, for sure.
Yeah, really? Man City's number one?
No, number one is Liverpool right now.
Oh.
And then Arsenal might be two.
I know Arsenal's been top.
Nottingham Forest is up there, though. I don't know.
What?
Oh, yeah. It's like a Cinderella story right now for Nottingham Forest. It's crazy.
I didn't even know you watched the EPL. Dude,
I do. I didn't know you knew so much about sports. I was listening to... the only thing I did to prep for this episode was
Taxes.
Taxes. Oh, I did my taxes today. That's how I did them. You got me through my taxes. I was listening to your Offstage podcast with I don't know what their names were, but they're
Jay and Todd.
Jay and Todd. I was listening to that podcast.
Todd and Jay.
And I was listening to your latest Café con Pod because Isaac does have a podcast where he talks to our mutual friend George, his childhood friend George, and they interview various guests on there. And I was listening to your Super Bowl predictions, and me and you were just about equally wrong, dude. Like, if you go back and listen to that episode, you were wrong about just about everything. But don't worry, everything you said, I literally said the exact same things to anybody I spoke to, and I was like, we were so wrong. It was crazy.
As a Dolphins fan, Vic Fangio, I'm gonna curse. Fucked our defense.
Yes,
all right. He screwed us. He's one of the greatest defensive coordinators of all time, but he destroyed our defense. He was there for a season and then left.
Let's slow the roll on the best defensive coordinators of all time.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Steve Spagnuolo is still he's still.
I'm just gonna say this: put a statue in Philly of those 4 defensive linemen.
Bro. The 6, dog. They have a rotation.
They got a rotation.
D linemen.
They got all of Georgia Bulldogs on their D line.
Yeah, bro. I saw a really funny meme where it's like, you want to get drafted by the Eagles, just win a natty, and then involuntarily manslaughter somebody by speeding, and you'll go to the Eagles. No disrespect. No disrespect. God bless everybody.
Those are some of my favorite memes on IG. It'll just be like a dude, it'll be like a video game car simulator of a dude drinking like a 40 ounce and driving a car like 120 miles an hour. And it's like Georgia 5-star recruit for absolutely no reason. Like, it'll say nobody, and then it'll just say Georgia 5-star
That's
recruit.
what I mean, bro. That's what I mean. They just forget about everything. Nolan Smith and Jalen Carter are those boys, bro.
Balled out. Yeah, this Chiefs, what I said pretty much the same thing you said. I said the Chiefs all year have been kind of iffy. They get punched in the mouth, but the teams that they punched them in the mouth weren't good enough to close them out. Eagles punched them in the mouth and just kept punching them in the mouth. And it was the Tom Brady New York Giants Super Bowl all over again, pretty much.
What I did get right, which I told GM, I go, the only way that the Eagles are going to win is that they got to go up huge at half.
At the half,
they have to be up huge, and they were up 24-0. I mean,
you said 21-7. They were up.
I know. That's what I mean. I'm like, they have to be up at least 2 tutties in order for them. Because if you give Mahomes striking distance, it's done. But dude, that was just I was at a wedding and I just kept checking the score, and I'm like, I'm not even gonna watch. It's so boring.
What'd you think of the halftime show? Did you watch it effectively?
So I watched it posthumously. I watched it afterwards, post-mortem, so to speak. And at first, I was like, all right, it's Kendrick, whatever. But the more that I watch it, the more I like it.
Okay.
Because Kendrick is an artist.
Yeah, he's an artist.
So every single frame was like a painting that you see. The way that he set up everything.
Choreography was frame by frame.
It was theater, bro. You were watching live theater. Mm-hmm. And that's why I appreciated it, was because it wasn't like an entertainment spectacle. It was theater. Now, my wife is a diehard Swiftie.
Okay.
I've never seen a bigger Swiftie
than your wife. Okay.
Yeah, my wife went to see her 4 times this past time. This past thing. She and Nick. Do you remember Nick Rodriguez?
Of course.
His wife is a diehard Swiftie, so they love each other. Nick is another mutual friend of ours, Zach, but I've known since I was like 6.
Okay.
So
all right.
It's great. When we go double dating, I'm like, thank God. Me and Nick will just sit there and be like, thank God,
thank God
they like each other. Thank God. And it just makes everything so much easier. Anyways,
I'm
a Swiftie adjacent because I have to be, right?
I love Monover, and he does a lot of collabs.
Bro, he's incredible. That's one of my favorite songs that she has is Exile.
Oh yeah,
that song's incredible. But she is very much live theater. So I've seen the Eras tour, and I got to give credit where credit is due. First and foremost, this is the most powerful woman in the world.
Oh, she's a superstar. Whether you like her or not.
Exactly. You can't knock the hustle. And
let's check that out the door. Whether you like her or not, acknowledge it. It's like saying, it's like if you didn't like Michael Jackson personally.
Correct.
And all the stuff with Michael Jackson, the controversy there, whether you believe it or not. You know, the dude was a superstar. Go watch his documentary. It's insane.
Correct. Remember, and that's Kobe, what I mean. Her exactly, dude. Her tour on Disney Plus, Eras Tour. Yeah. If you watch it, bro, it's like theater. It's interactive. She's like interacting with everybody. So that's why what I liked about Kendrick that reminded me of that was how it was like live theater. Having Sam Jackson as Uncle Sam was hilarious to me. And then Serena Williams is crip walking.
Well,
during
that was going to be the only thing I would say. Because, you know, Kendrick's never going to miss an opportunity to make a statement, right? Petty. There's always going to be like a imagery within an imagery.
Yes.
And you got like all sorts of things there. And like he did the red, white, and blue, but usually it's like a statement against the red, white, and blue and a statement on that. Like he did like the whole, this is like a jail yard look. If you look down, you can kind of see it. There's like a whole thing.
Are you talking about the X? No,
like if you look down, like at least I read, somebody said this. I forget what YouTube video I watched. I was like breaking it down, but he did like essentially like a jail yard. So it was like a
this is why I like it.
A commentary on African American.
Well, like people are breaking it down, and everybody has a different breakdown of it,
and that's why he's an artist. And that's why he's an artist, because whether you agree with it or not, it is what it is. The only thing I would say that I would be like, I wonder if he wanted it this is that like to be in the Super Bowl is such an honor, to be the performer at the Super Bowl. Do you really want the whole thing tainted with your beef that's like momentary? I mean, I know he like, you ever seen that meme? It's like, stop, he's already dead. Like, you know, I know he already had his beef and it's settled with Drake, right? But it felt like the whole performance was dedicated towards.
I get that.
Towards the
beef, I get it.
You know?
I get it. I thought it was hilarious just because he's so petty, bro.
As a bystander, I'm like, damn.
Oh my God. It was so, I just did not think it was going to be that big of a thing. That's what I mean. It was like theater. It was hitting the climax because everybody knew that was coming.
That's the thing, is like he built it up perfect, right? Because he even teased people. Like he started it and then it went to like Ladies Break It Down. They went slow with the different songs.
Yes.
Like the whole thing. I was even saying like, you know, just the choreography was cool.
Oh.
Was it the best performance ever? Not in my opinion, but I think like
what is your best performance?
Bro, I'm gonna be honest. I have maybe every single performance right now is not going to hit the mark for me. And I'm being like really harsh because there's only one group that I really want to see the Super Bowl. And I've never even
Boys
seen
to Men.
Boys to Men. How'd you know? Mama. It'll really kill the vibe and the whole thing. No, dude, I don't understand how Silk Sonic has not been invited to do the Super Bowl.
I don't even know who Silk Sonic is.
Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak. Those guys are perfect. Those guys are a perfect Super Bowl show. Bruno Mars was probably the best.
That's true. That's live
that
performer.
I've seen. That I've seen in Super Bowl. I think Bruno Mars and at that point I wasn't even like a big Bruno Mars fan. I like his stuff now. I wasn't like a big fan of the "I'll jump on a train for you." I wasn't a big fan of that. But the Silk Sonic stuff, that is Super Bowl friendly right there. That is like hard hitting.
I love Anderson .Paak.
I like Rihanna too. I thought she did great when she was.
She did great. Anderson .Paak was in the LA one. He was playing the drums.
That's right.
LA one.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
He's from Cali. I think he's from like Long Beach area. He's from out here. So
he's a badass.
Dude, I love him. I think Bruno Mars is one of the tops that I want to see live.
If we're gonna look at it like the Kendrick one objectively, I like it because I like Kendrick. But if you don't like Kendrick, you probably wouldn't like it. Because
all the old heads, bro. My dad was like super bowel. What is this?
Well, first and foremost, like I bet your parents, like my parents, don't really like rap that much. They like 80s rap, like Planet Patrol, like the old school 80s disco rap, but it's not their vibe. So like anybody, and by the way, people who like I think the one thing this Kendrick beef with Drake highlighted was how much people are sheep. Because everybody and their mother was bumping Drake for like the last 10, 15 years. Now,
bro, Drake just dropped an album. Have you heard his new album?
Not at all.
It's fire.
But all I hear people is clowning the one song that he's speaking in Spanish. It's like, it just shows how like group think everybody is.
God, dude, 100%. And also, it's all whenever I see like rap beef, especially nowadays, it is nothing the way that it used to be, East Coast versus West Coast, right? All that stuff, because it's all been squashed. It's we live in a global world now. Everything is so connected. So whenever I see this stuff, I don't take it at face value. No, man. This is all hype for them.
You don't think Kendrick's trying to bring back the physicality of the '80s NBA? I think Kendrick hates his ass now.
No, I don't think Kendrick is trying to bring back the vibe of the '80s. I think Kendrick, in all honesty, is a man of morals.
Yeah,
and I think that his morals are. I don't even know how the beef started, but I think that in some way, shape, or form, Drake crossed the line for his morals. So I think it's more man to man, more than men. How do I put this? It's not the East Coast, West Coast sort of group mind versus each other. I think it's more Kendrick just doesn't like Drake. I think that's really what it is.
Well, he doesn't like anything. Yeah. I don't know super deeply about it.
Me either.
I listened to Damn throughout when it came out. I listened to it for a straight year. So
loved it.
But like I said, that performance, Kendrick's not dropping, not like us, is probably maybe his biggest single ever, right? In terms of
maybe
everybody listening
to the world. Swimming pools was big.
He didn't do swimming pools at the Super Bowl, which I thought was a miss.
Nah, he did all GNX stuff. He did all his new album.
Yeah, he should have done.
No, he did. He did some old stuff too, but mostly it was just all new.
It wouldn't have fit with the theme, I don't think.
The SZA, I liked SZA. SZA killed it. I thought she killed it.
I'm gonna be. Yeah, that was fine. I thought Serena out there was bro. Not gonna lie. I understand she got into trouble for doing the crip walk after winning the tournament, but she's a married woman.
No, that's not why he had her out there.
She's Drake's ex-girlfriend.
That's why.
But what I'm trying to say is,
why do you bring that out? Yeah, I get it.
Married. If you're her husband, you're why are you still tripping over your ex?
Why? Yeah, I think that should be more so on Serena than on Kendrick.
No, not on Kendrick. That's not on Kendrick.
SZA also is SZA's also Drake's ex.
I thought that was so. I saw somebody talk about that on TikTok. They're like, she's the husband of hers is what are you doing? What are you?
I think he's as long as you keep on bringing in the billies.
He's actually worth more than her. I think he's
really.
Yeah. What is?
He's a coach, right? Wasn't he a tennis coach?
No. Oh, Hanny.
I thought he was.
No. He is a.
I thought he was a tennis coach.
What the hell does he do?
Hi, mama.
He's an internet entrepreneur. He co-founded Reddit.
Whoa.
Yeah. He's a big swinger. Yeah. Well, maybe not. Let me calm down my vernacular.
Okay, let's go into some.
Don't know if they're swingers now.
But what you're saying, Mario,
that would make sense, though. That would make sense why he was cool with it. No, he came out and he was like, "You guys don't know how much crap she went through for doing the crip walk after winning Wimbledon." And I was like, "All right,
dude."
She also did it because Kendrick's the double meaning king.
Absolutely.
So he was definitely doing it because. It was like when Eminem killed Mariah Carey or Nick Cannon.
Oh my God! So wait. Her husband came out after the Super Bowl saying that she did that to kind of regain strength because she got in so much trouble in 2016.
Yeah, mind you, I only saw this on one social media post. I didn't fact check. I didn't do a dissertation on it. I was going gut check off of Instagram, off a video I saw.
No, it's true. I believe it. It's true. That's why. Honestly, dude. I don't, man. I really. You want to know the kind of videos I watch when I'm going to sleep?
What?
Dr. Pimple Popper, baby. Oh, you like Dr. Pimple Popper?
Remind me of somebody. Yeah.
That calms me down, bro.
That's disgusting.
See, that calms. Or I watch some anime because I love anime.
What are you watching anime wise right now?
Dude, I just finished Solo Leveling. Have you ever heard of Solo Leveling?
I'm all right. So I started it last year, and then I said, I can't wait every week for this. I'm gonna cancel the Crunchyroll. I'll come back when it finishes season 1.
I'll give you a free site. You don't need the Crunchyroll.
Please send it. We don't advocate for that on Story Archives.
No. We don't advocate for that. We don't.
But if you need it, DM Isaac.
But every website is technically free, so I didn't.
It's true. Yeah, free trials everywhere. Yeah, no, I watched the first few episodes. I loved it. And then I was like, I'm just not going to wait week to week. So I'll wait for it to finish and I'll come back. And
yeah, you definitely need. So they're in the middle of season 2 right now.
Okay.
I literally killed season 1 last week. I never even heard of it before last week, and then I watched it and I was like, oh my goodness,
Fantastic. Did you finish
this
it?
is incredible. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm all
so
caught up.
I'll jump on it.
It's incredible, dude. It's incredible.
I haven't watched a lot, but I was kind of an anime noob for a while. And now we're gonna get into the story archives territory where we talk about shows for a little bit. Dragon Ball Z was like the intro for me.
Yes. When you were a kid?
Yeah. Yes. Tsunami every day, 4 o'clock.
Yes.
5 o'clock. You'd have to wait till Sailor Moon finished to watch it. There was a gem of a show that almost nobody remembers but me that I loved, bro. And it probably doesn't hold up. It was called Reboot.
No, I don't remember it.
Okay, so yeah. I barely remember it. But I enjoyed Reboot, and I enjoyed... What was the one? It wasn't Gundam, but there was an Anazoid.
Big O.
No, it was one that there was like machines that turned into animal machines.
Beast Wars.
No.
Transformers.
Let me not go down the rabbit hole. But anyways, during COVID, I got
Animals turning into machines.
Yeah, it was like battlers. It was like humans getting into these animal robotic machines.
What was it on?
That Toonami.
Crunchyroll?
I only watched
Toonami.
At that point, Crunchyroll didn't exist, I don't think.
No, it didn't.
But I got into Naruto during COVID.
Ooh.
And I gained like an emotional attachment to Naruto. I was like,
did you finish it?
Oh, hell yeah. Yeah.
Okay. One of the greatest stories ever told.
I was going to make a commentary. Remember I said earlier in this podcast, I said, how do you top Dark Knight? And the same thing happened in Naruto. They couldn't top the pain arc. They couldn't top it.
Wow. I agree. That's the best arc.
The Toby arc was not better than the pain arc. It wasn't.
Obito, Toby, Madara. See, if they would have ended it on Madara, I think it would have been great.
Maybe,
but
if he was the ultimate villain, yes.
Correct. But then when it went to Kaguya and you started to bring in like aliens and stuff, and then Naruto and Sasuke got nerfed, they just went super, not nerfed. They just went to this realm of superhuman in a second.
Yeah,
it didn't make sense to me at that. I didn't like her as being the main boss. I liked the final battle between Naruto and Sasuke. That was great.
That was fantastic. That definitely always should have been the end of the series.
100.
But
Madara should have been the last. He should have been the last boss.
Yeah, Sasuke probably should have been the last boss. If you really think about it.
Yeah, he should have killed Madara. He should have killed Madara to be the ultimate Uchiha.
And he's going to go destroy the Leaf Village.
Yes.
And then
start the new world.
And then you have a final battle.
Correct.
That's it. That would have been a better
the battle
ending.
For the soul. It was Obi-Wan versus Anakin in the battle for souls.
Exactly.
Right? And in the battle for Sasuke's soul and Naruto, obviously, it's kind of like a stalemate. Nobody wins.
Yeah.
Right? But then Naruto ends up turning him.
Naruto accomplishes. I saw this great video on YouTube, a video essay about Naruto. I'll send it to you if you want to watch it.
Yes, I love Naruto.
I got to dig it up. I think I saved it to one of my playlists. Essentially, Naruto accomplished his arc after Pain. He went from village outcast, demon-possessed village outcast, to literally the whole village is annihilated, right? And sorry, spoiler, guys, but if you haven't,
seen it already,
you come back in 3 minutes. Whenever we're done talking about this, everybody's dead pretty much, right? And you got Sakura literally saying Naruto, and then he just pops in like the greatest entrance of all time,
bro.
He asks
in sage mode,
and then he asks the little slug that's on his shoulder. He says, "Where are we? Where's the Hidden Leaf Village?" He says, "This is the Hidden Leaf Village."
Oh, I just got chills, bro. I forgot about that.
And then
he was meditating.
Yep, he was in sage mode, and then he sees Tsunade, and he touches her on the shoulder, and he says, "I got this."
Yeah.
And then he looks back at her because Naruto's a badass, and he goes, and he can sense everybody's energy in the village, and he notices one energy's missing, and he goes, "Where's Kakashi?"
Yeah, bro.
And she doesn't say anything, and then he just goes. That's the see.
Damn! Now you're getting me turned up right now. You're getting me turned. How do you feel about Hinata?
Beautiful
His girl.
Beautiful.
You like her?
Yeah, because
I didn't like her that much.
Because you have to watch the last movie.
I did at the very end. Yeah, where they get married and everything.
The thing is that
I watched Boruto. I watched a lot of Boruto also.
Same. And by the way, Boruto's worth it to get to the fight. After, or hold on, let me.
I stopped after a little. I got bored. If I'm honest.
Did you see? All right, let me finish my thought on
Hinata. Yeah, go.
it had to be Hinata. I always kind of wanted it to be Sakura, the same way I always thought it was a cop-out that Ron Weasley ended up with Hermione. And even J.K. Rowling says till this day that the original intent was for Hermione to end up with Harry. She only did it was because, like, what is Ron going to do? Like, she's got to give something to Ron. So that's Ron got a participation trophy and got Hermione pretty much. That's literally what happened there. But that's another tangent for another day. It had to be Hinata because everybody hated Naruto. Sakura was obsessed with the bad boy Sasuke. It had to be Hinata. It had to be like unconditional love. That's what it had to be. It couldn't be the chick who was wavy, who didn't know what she wanted. And then you see Sakura in Boruto. Yes, she's got like the worst husband in the world, pretty much.
And she's also horrible in Boruto. I see her. They nerfed her. They did her dirty in Boruto, bro.
The whole series.
I love Sasuke, dude. I'm a Sasuke guy. Same way I'm Vegeta over Goku. I always go for sort of the secondary Kakarot. The secondary, the Prince of Saiyans. Oh, man. Don't get me started on DBZ. I love Dragon Ball Z. That's another one. But, dude, Itachi. So my favorite characters, that's something else I was going to ask you. Who are your favorite characters? Aside from the main.
In Naruto?
You know,
well, yeah. I got my boy who always tells me, my friend Rico, and he's like, I'm going to get a tattoo of Itachi. I'm like, dude, how are you going to get a tattoo of a guy?
He's the real Hokage. He's the real Hokage.
Dude, you cannot gloss over the fact that he massacred an entire village of women and children.
To save everyone else.
No, he was duped. Yes. He was duped by Denzel. Yeah,
I know. I know. And then after that, he vowed to keep the hidden leaf safe. And
I understand that. Itachi is honorable, but at the same time, it's like the same way you can't gloss over the fact that Anakin executed Order 66.
It's fair. It's fair. So it's a fair argument.
My whole point is you can't get a tattoo of Itachi. How are you going to get a woman and child murderer tattooed on you?
Well, I can tell you this, because it's a cartoon. That's why.
I'm too literal. Why. I'd look at it in the mirror every day and be like, what if this is me?
What have I done?
I got a murder. I got Ted Bundy on my arm. Jeez. My favorite characters in Naruto, Naruto, of course.
No, but aside from the mains.
Shikamaru.
That's my bro. I love
the best
Shikamaru.
The second best scene in Naruto ever is Shikamaru and his father.
Oh, okay. No, I have a different best scene.
When he says, "Pray to your Lord."
Who's the guy that would click and his sensei that would blow out the like the fire, like the ashen fire, because it was Shikamaru, Inochi or whatever her name is, and then the big boy that would become really
Choji or whatever.
Choji and Inojin or whatever, and their sensei who was the grandson of the third. Asuma sensei.
That's the scene I'm talking about.
When he dies. Okay, yes. When he dies, the scene when all three of them are there and Choji's like crying, and then Shikamaru's not, he's like crying, but he's not weeping, and he just says, "Shut up. These are the last words that he'll ever say. Listen." Yep. Bro, when I saw that scene, that whole fight, by the way, when Asuma sensei and them, they fight the guy who can't die. The one who's the Grim Reaper or whatever. Yeah. And then they fought. It was him, and they fought the other guy. Who's the other guy?
I forget who the other one was, but I remember that guy was essentially, if he touched you and did damage to himself, you would get killed pretty much.
Yeah, dude, it was.
Anybody who fought that guy first without a scouting report was dead.
Dude.
Pretty much whoever lined up first was dead.
That fight, and when Asuma Sensei dies, that's like that's peak Naruto storytelling, because I was weeping when I saw that, dude. I was a puddle.
If you want a fun Easter egg, my boy, once again, I'll name shout him out, Rico. He mentioned, you know, the only handheld shot in Naruto, and they did like a handheld shot that it was shaky, Jason Bourne style in Naruto.
When?
It's during the pain arc when Sakura, everybody's dead, everything's like in ruins, and she screams out for Naruto. If you notice, the camera's shaking there. It's like the only time you'll ever see that.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the like a little fun Easter egg there.
Kakashi's also up there for me, bro.
Jiraiya for sure.
Jiraiya.
So it's probably Jiraiya, Kakashi, Shikamaru, and Sasuke.
And I also love
I love Itachi. Don't get me wrong. I love Itachi. Don't get me wrong.
You know who I love, but they kind of nerfed him. I love Gaara in the original Naruto.
Yeah.
When he fights Rock Lee, the Rock Lee Gaara fight is one of the best fights of all time, in my opinion.
Can I take them off,
dude? That's like that, bro. It's like when Goku's fighting, or when Piccolo's fighting. Piccolo takes off his armor and throws it, and they're like,
What's your favorite moment of all time in Dragon Ball Z? In Dragon
Ball's
period. I guess in Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z, what's your favorite?
Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball is not my. I haven't even seen all of it. I've seen a lot of it, but Dragon Ball is not my thing.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z. I mean, I have two.
Go with your top.
Main things but they're kind of equal. But I'll just go with the one that I watch more when I need to just get pumped. Is when Goku turns Super Saiyan for the first time. Okay. Is
Frieza?
That moment, because I remember being a kid waiting for it to happen, watching Toonami at my grandparents' house every day after school, after Sailor, and it took forever. It took weeks to get there. They kept talking about it, and then
you remember what the worst feeling was when you got home from school expecting a new episode and it was a rerun.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, dude, the filler episodes were the worst too. Yeah, when it was dude.
Kids don't know the pain, dude.
No. Goku turning Super Saiyan the first time, and then Gohan going Super Saiyan 2 against Cell is the other.
So you said
one.
You said mine.
Gohan.
Mine is essentially like a combination of two Gohan scenes. It's Gohan coming back, throwing the sensu bag of beans up in the air and killing everybody, and catching it after killing everybody. That's one. Two is the final fight of Goku's dead, and it's Gohan, and he's got the one arm going up against Cell, and that music kicks in. You talk about music. The fact that sticks with you shows you the power of music.
My goodness,
storytelling, film, TV.
And then Vegeta hits Cell. While they're doing the Kamehamehas against each other, right? Vegeta sacrifices himself because he knows he's gonna die, and Cell kind of gets distracted and hits him, and then Goku's like,
"Go!" Because I used at that point I was watching in dub. I wasn't watching dub right now.
Oh no, of course.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
God.
Dude. Oh my goodness, man! And then the way that Z ended.
Goku wasn't no wuss raising his son. He was like, "What are you doing, Gohan?"
That's that. I mean, the way that Gohan turns out, which I know that in whatever it's called now, Dragon Ball Super, or whatever it's called. I know that they're like made Gohan strong again with Beast Gohan against Perfect Cell. There's like a new Cell.
Yeah,
but I just think they ruined. I mean, I'm not going to. Toriyama is a master. Let's talk about another one because Dragon Ball, Naruto, those are like the mains at the beginning.
Yeah.
Have you hopped on One Piece yet?
I'm like 500 episodes in.
Okay, cool. So you're deep in One Piece.
I am. You're deep. After my whole audience is gone. No one's here. It's just me and you in a room. Me and you in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Perfect, baby.
Maybe one or two.
The ones that want to be strong stuck around.
Yeah, I am past the Water 7 arc. They just met Jolly D. No. The skeleton.
Brooks.
I hate this story. I stopped watching. I haven't watched in months. I'm waiting for that shit to finish. So I'm assuming I'm right next to the time skip. I'm right next to the time skip. I have to be. There's no way I'm not.
Brooks, did you already you passed Impel Down, you passed 7. Have you passed Marineford?
Yes.
Okay, with Whitebeard and everything that happens.
Nope, I have not. No, shut up. Actually, I don't know. I don't remember.
It's the Great War. Have you had like a war scene yet?
Okay, so the one thing I remember is Luffy turning into a little guy and having to run, and he started to what does he call that?
Gecko Moria. You're with Gecko Moria right now.
That's where I was at. Yes.
Yeah, no,
Gecko Moria, the guy who's reanimating people. That's where I'm at right now, and he
steals their shadows. He steals their shadows.
It feels like such a filler.
That one, that arc is only to get Brooks, and Zoro has an important part in that.
I'm waiting for it to end, dude. It's killed my interest.
Yeah, it's not a great arc. I'll tell you, it was one of my least favorite arcs.
My favorite moment so far. My favorite moment in all of One Piece so far has to be when they are on the island and somebody gets all their stuff stolen from them. And these guys at the bar are cracking up. They just whooped Luffy and Zoro's ass in the bar. And then a flyer falls down because they send out a flyer with the new bounties. Mm-hmm. And everybody sees that the bounty is of the two guys that they just finished beating up in the bar. But then they ended up crossing the moral line, the Kendrick Lamar line. And then Luffy comes back and destroys everybody.
Bro, first off, it's been going since 1999. Yeah. So, Oda's a GOAT. When it comes to storytelling, he's a GOAT.
I'll just fast track and we'll get to your acting. We'll go to
because we
got to bring back the rest of the audience that we lost in our 30-minute segue of it doesn't matter. I want this series to be like this. That this ends up being. Like
I'm a nerd, dude. You bring up if we start talking anime, I'm going down the anime route.
I just want this to be like whatever it is, a 2-3 hour conversation, whatever
Beautiful.
It ends up turning into. Like I'll go just short list all the animes that I've watched. Death Note, of course, everybody's watched Death Note.
I read it. I haven't watched it. I read the manga.
It's great. Then it starts to fizzle out. And then I saw Vinland Saga season 1 and 2. Season 1 is one of the greatest things you'll ever watch in your life. Season 2,
never seen it.
Heavy. Season 2 is definitely nowhere near as good. Hunter x Hunter,
I've watched. Sailor Moon's husband.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they're like a super couple. Okay, everybody raved about Hunter x Hunter, and it's good.
Agreed. Bro, I feel the same exact way of how you just said that.
It has moments.
I agree.
But it ain't
Chimera Ant, the Chimera Ant arc at the end. I didn't think it was that amazing.
It wasn't great. The greatest moment at the end of that is Netero showing up, but that's OP. But it feels like the whole arc was for that. And going crazy.
Well, because at the end, I think the big thing was how the Chimera Ant, whatever his name was, ended up allowing death to overcome him. He chose love to die. Yeah, it was weird. I don't know. Maybe it went over my head. Maybe I'm not that evolved.
So harsh, bro. I'm just I just straight up like, it's stupid. Whatever. When the talking cheetah thing, the talking animals thing, which was driving me bananas. I was like, this is
okay. It's a cartoon, Mario.
No, I get it, but look, you can do it. You just got to reel me in. And when the Chimera Ant arc is going on forever here,
I understand. That's true too. That's true.
And not just that. Look, the best part of Hunter x Hunter is my favorite parts. The Hunter exam. I thought that was fun as can be. I thought the tournament was really fun.
Yep.
Where you start to find out about the different powers that are out there.
Yeah.
Right? I thought that was really, really fun. And then the end of that video game world that they go into, that thing super fun. Let me take it back. Hunter x Hunter it's a banger,
phenomenal.
To be honest.
Yeah, bro, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
But it's just not as top tier as Naruto.
It might have been, but that guy who wrote it, I forget his name,
stopped writing it. Didn't finish it.
He got health issues and then stopped writing it, and then he's been teasing for like 10 years now that he's gonna write it. My cousin is a big anime nerd.
Okay.
He gets me into a lot of them.
JJK, have you hopped on Jujutsu Kaisen?
I love it. I love JJK.
Have you seen the movie? Did you see Zero?
JJK, yes, and it's okay. It was all right. It's all right. It's not better than the actual series.
So beautiful. No, it's not better than the series, but you need to watch that before you see season 2.
Jujutsu Kaisen is Naruto for adults, pretty much.
100%.
Because they even got Gojo is essentially Kakashi.
Yep.
Kakashi, but so OP.
But dark.
It's ridiculous.
But a dark version of Kakashi. Very dark.
To the point where you're like, what if this guy goes evil? And you're like, what if he just
walks that fine line between evil and good? Because he could kill the world, but he chooses not to.
Sukuna's badass too, though.
Oh, man.
When he shows up in the panda, and I forget the other characters running away, and the panda goes, "Who?" Because Sukuna just shows up and they can just sense it. Is insane. That fight between him and whatever What's the name of the wolf?
I have no idea. I don't remember half of the names anymore. I can't remember all these names.
That's a true test of an anime if it's good. If you can actually remember the main characters' names.
Dude, I don't even remember the guy from Solo Leveling's name. It's Yoon Soon.
The only guy in there too,
something, and he's so good. But Sukuna's badass. You're on Demon Slayer. Have you seen Demon Slayer?
I'm super behind on Demon Slayer.
It's a very good show. That's another really good one.
That I'm like 2 seasons behind, and I'm ecstatic because I have 2 seasons to catch up to. Have you ever watched?
Very good.
I'm gonna list them off. Promised Neverland. Have you watched that?
No.
Fantastic. Watch season 1. I haven't watched season 2 yet. I'm the king of season 1s with anime.
Mm-hmm.
Is that it? Is that all I got? I think I listed a lot of them. Full Metal Alchemist, of course.
Beautiful.
I haven't finished it, but I'm very far.
Watch Brotherhood.
That's it. That's all I can think of.
Okay, that's good.
Let's get back to we talked about anime for like 30 minutes. Zach, while you've been gone, we talked about all anime. Zach went.
No, I mean I've had you in my ears.
Oh, you have? You listened to the whole thing? Zach,
I did.
You were listening to all of that. I'm so sorry that you listened to all of that.
It's okay. It all went completely over my head. Like I'm a nerd of a different kind. Like
what kind of nerd?
Just a computer nerd, like development. More like works. What were you saying? What?
Seneca, Civil War, Dante's Inferno.
The closest I get to
Stoics?
You're like Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's beautiful.
I like American. It. I mean, it's good.
Are you a Stoics kind of guy, Seneca? I heard him say.
I don't even know the words that are coming out of your mouth.
I have a great photo I took of a Marcus Aurelius tweet today, and I know, Isaac, you are into the Stoics. I think
I am.
And
so Marcus Aurelius tweeted today.
Yeah, he tweeted it from his Twitter account. and he pays for X, like the subscription X, so he has the blue check next to him. I'll read it though, because it is good, because you are in the creative field, and we've chosen a hell of a field to try to make it in, because it is difficult. It's a difficult one. I was just watching a clip. I sent it to you today of Morgan Freeman.
I loved it.
And they ask him, I forgot what the hell the question was, but obviously half of the time the interviewers behind the camera are guys who also love acting, by the way, and would love to act.
Yep.
Okay, let's just say it. They don't say it, but I know for a fact that most of them are interviewing actors because they probably were actors or wanted to be actors. Okay?
That's true.
And let's just call a spade a spade. And Morgan Freeman says that he was about to quit acting. He just was about to get his license to be a taxi driver, which is funny because he was in Driving Miss Daisy, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
And he's about to quit. And he says, you know what? He started thinking to himself, what other careers can I imagine myself that I would want to do, or that I could imagine myself doing for the rest of my life? And when he sat down and thought about it, he said, I'm either going to act or I'm going to die. I'm either going to make it in this thing or I'm going to die. He said the quickest way to not make it, to fail at something, is to quit, which is obviously anybody who's a scoffer or a mocker, you can check yourself out at the door. But, it's true. If you don't quit, eventually perseverance and getting better at your craft, not sitting at your hands, not expecting it to fall in your lap, if you're doing it, eventually something's going to break through. Now you have to define for yourself, what does that mean? I think there's an obsession with the A-list stars or whatever, but the more and more, the older I get, the more seasoned I get, the more respect I have for the true craftsmen. The guys who are getting a lot of shine right now, like the Cillian Murphys of the world, right?
Journeyman, bro. The journeyman. Walton Goggins.
I know. Damn it. You said it. You took the words out of my mouth. I love you, bro. I was going to say, the more respect I have for the guys that you can clearly look in their eyes when they're acting and say, this guy would do this thing in a side street of a random black box theater acting. And Walton Goggins was literally the guy I was going to say. He's in White Lotus season 3. He's in Fallout, which we did cover on the Story Archives podcast.
Nice.
And you can just tell these are true craftsmen. And what Morgan Freeman essentially said was like, if I starve to death, I starve to death. I'm going to make it in this thing. I'm going to just try my best at it till I make it. You mentioned somebody on your offstage podcast, Sarsgaard, the senior.
Peter Sarsgaard. No. It was a completely separate guy. He's not a part of that family.
Not a part of that family.
He's actually married to Maggie Gyllenhaal, tying it back to The Dark Knight.
Interesting. Yeah. Everything comes full circle with Maggie Gyllenhaal. By the way, she's a hell of an actress.
Amazing. Great director also.
I hear now actor is the term. It's not actress.
I don't know, bro. Whatever. Actor, actress, whatever you want me to call you, I'll call you.
I've heard some women get upset when they were referred to as actresses, and they say, "I'm an actor."
Same thing with stewardess,
but still,
flight attendant.
But still, the Oscar goes to the most outstanding actress. So they have an update. Anyways, whatever. I don't give a crap about that.
No, let's get into it. Tell me how you really feel. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I honestly don't care. I honestly don't care.
I know.
But you were mentioning how Sarsgaard was just dedicated to getting better at his craft.
Yes.
And the Aurelius quote I was going to read was just somebody who I think a lot of people can relate to. He says, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being. What do I have to complain of if I'm going to do what I was born for, the things I was brought into the world to do? Or is this what I was created for, to huddle under the blankets and stay warm? But it's nicer here. So you were born to feel nice instead of doing things and experiencing them. Don't you see the plants, the birds, the ants, and spiders and bees going about their individual tasks, putting the world in order as best they can? And you're not willing to do your job as a human being? Why aren't you running to do what your nature demands? But we have to sleep sometime. Agreed. But nature set a limit on that, as it did on eating and drinking, and you're over the limit. You've had more than enough of that, but not of working. There, you're still below your quota. You don't love yourself enough. That hits hard. Or you'd love your nature too, and what it demands of you. People who love what they do wear themselves down doing it. They even forget to wash or eat. Do you have less respect for your own nature than the engraver does for engraving, the dancer for the dance, the miser for money, or the social climber for status? When they're really possessed by what they do, they'd rather stop eating and sleeping than give up practicing their arts. Is helping others less valuable to you, not worth your time?" Bro, when you read that and you think about like the craft, the ups and downs of the actor's journey, what do you think about? Because I was listening to you today, and I remember you talking about that a little bit.
The ups and downs.
But how have you sort of, let's take it back. UCF, you're studying theater for the most part. What was your degree in?
Yeah, I finished with a BA in theater studies and a minor in writing and rhetoric. Okay. That's what I ended with. I started in the BFA track. So kind of going back to what we were talking about before, I ended up auditioning for the program with a monologue from a monologue book. I didn't know, bro. I had read 3 plays in my life up to that point. I'd seen a few. I didn't know how to pick a monologue. I didn't understand what a classical monologue was versus a contemporary or like a modern. I just didn't get it. Anyways, audition. I got in. I was one of whatever 12, 13 kids in my BFA class, and I lasted all of a semester because I was an idiot. When I first went to college, I just wanted to party and pretty much everything that we weren't supposed to do when we were in school. And I had just gotten out of a relationship, and I had just like wanted to explode. Anyways, I got into it with the teacher in my review, and I always got good grades, but the teacher dropped me down a grade essentially because he didn't approve of the way that I was
approaching it.
Yeah, taking it, which
it's actually a good teacher, to be honest.
Understandably so. He was an okay teacher. He certainly had his favorites.
Right.
He had a point. I will give him this. God rest his soul. He's moved on.
Okay.
But he did have a point. And it was certainly a come to God moment for myself, asking myself if I wanted to continue doing this. But I started taking outside classes in Orlando with this guy named Russ Blackwell. And he's a working actor. He's been in a lot of stuff.
This was in Florida, Orlando area?
In Orlando, in the Orlando area. He's the man. He's the one that revolutionized the way I thought about acting. This is what I mean. I learned work ethic from him. So I learned because I knew how to memorize lines and all this stuff, but we'd have scenes that we'd have prepared, and we'd take classes maybe once a week at this theater, at the Orlando Shakespeare Theater with him. And if somebody got up there and they were holding their script and they were doing everything, he'd let the scene finish, and then he'd turn to them and be like, "Hey, so I noticed you're holding your script." And the person would say, "Yeah, Russ, I'm so sorry. I didn't have time. I had a lot of other stuff. I wasn't able to memorize. I apologize." And I'd be like, "No, it's okay. It's okay." And then he'd say, "So let me ask you a question. Did you watch TV this week?" And they'd be like, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, what are you watching? What do you like?" And they'd say, "Oh, I love watching whatever show. Pick your poison there." He goes, "How many episodes do you watch a week? Would you say 4 or 5? And they go, "Yeah, 4 or 5. And they're like an hour each." "Yeah." So then he'd say, "So you had 5 hours to work on your lines." and you chose not to. So don't tell me you don't have time. Say it wasn't a priority. That's fine. But don't tell me you didn't have time, because this is my livelihood. This is what he said. This is how I feed my family. This right here is extremely serious to me. This is not for somebody that doesn't want to take this seriously. And since you're all here, you have a bug. You've been bitten by the bug, for better or for worse. So you have to understand that this is something to take seriously. This is not the type of class that you just do, and you half-ass it. So anyways, he taught me that sort of work ethic and how to go about my stuff. But I left the theater program after a semester because I was learning a lot from him, and I didn't have the proper work ethic. So I kind of bounced around in college doing marketing for a little bit. I did.
So you did that course, not to interrupt you, during college.
Yep.
Okay, so so you weren't satisfied with the education you were getting within UCF.
Well, I just had taken this course with him, and I learned more with him than I did an entire semester at UCF. So in my mind, I'm very practical. So I thought to myself, if I'm learning more with this guy, why would I continue taking classes over there? And I go to the second largest university in the country, and I just came from a school that told me every single step they planned every step I needed to take. I want to choose all the classes that I can possibly take. Right. And in the theater program, you have every class picked for you for 4 years.
Chris Nolan didn't get into film school for a reason.
Because it wasn't for me, bro. That just wasn't for me.
But, but it was necessary because you had already acknowledged the fact that it wasn't training you what you needed to. And it's the same thing. I went to business school.
Yeah.
And you could tell the teacher who had never done it.
Right.
Compared to the teacher who had done it. And there was the teachers that were doing business calculus, and they were teaching that, but they never were they didn't own a business. They didn't work for a corporation.
Teaching from a book.
They were professors their whole life. Yeah. And you go from those professors to a guy who taught operations management. I'll never forget this guy. He was like one of the lead managers or operators or directors in South America for Saab engines, like jet engines. I thought operations management was going to be the most boring class I ever took. Ended up being the most fascinating class I ever took in all of business school, because this guy knew business. He had been in the field, and then he took what he had done for 20, 30 years in the field and then brought it to the classroom. And you can respect that. Not a shot, but it is a shot at the same time to, actually go after the craft and then come back and teach people what to do, And that's what Russ Blackwell sounds like it did for you.
Oh, bro, he was a G. Well, that's Denzel has something he says. He goes, in the first part of your life, you learn. Second part of your life, you earn. Third part of your life, you return. So you go and you give back. I think the third one is return. It sounds, it rhymes. It all rhymes.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, dude, teachers are so vital. I had theater history. This is something else I'll never forget. One of the first days of colleges, I'm in the BFA program. I had read books on acting. I'm so pumped. I walk into this theater, what was it? Scene analysis class. And I'm sitting there and everybody's talking about, in Oedipus, this character does this, that, and this. Well, I didn't really like Aeschylus, but then moving on with George Bernard Shaw, they're all talking about all this stuff. And I have no idea what anybody is talking about. I have no idea on the first day. So I remember being there and thinking, this is not where I belong. Like, I don't. And everybody kind of sounded a little, they were kind of getting heated about opinions of this person and that person and Rodgers and Hammerstein and musicals and all this stuff. And I just remember thinking, like, I have no idea what anybody's talking about. And immediately I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to be in this class. You know what I mean? That's kind of one of the first things that I thought. So it wasn't until I met Russ. Dude, I'll never forget the first class we had. I'll never forget this, bro. Oh, wow. I haven't thought about this in a minute. So he had us. Yeah, it is. It is. It's crazy. He had us learn a monologue beforehand. Everybody preps their monologue or whatever. Mm. And then he had us do this exercise in which it was like, let's just say 6 chairs and then 6 chairs facing those chairs.
You're bringing me back to it.
Yeah. And so then he would have one row of people, everybody close their eyes. And then on the other row, the other people were just kind of watching them. We're just watching them. So then he said, I'm going to say something and I want you guys to think of it as soon as I say it. Okay. the first object that comes to your mind, just hold it there. So he said childhood. He goes, I don't care what the object is, just hold it in your mind. Think about the object. Think about everything, the smell of it, the taste of it, even if it's not something you eat, the shape of it, how it feels. Is it hot? Is it cold? Think about all of it in your mind's eye. Now start to physicalize it. Start to move your hands and really touch it and feel it. And when I come and tap you, start saying your monologue. All right. So I remember there's people that were getting tapped before me and they would start talking and they were crying. And I remember thinking in my head, I'm like, bro, I'm not going to fucking cry in front of these strangers. What is going on? Okay. Oh, this is an acting class. That's something that I thought in my brain. I go, okay, yeah, we're in an acting class. So then he'd touch somebody and they'd start crying. Remember, he came to me, he touched me, and I had my object or whatever, and I started talking. Dog, and I was weeping. I started weeping in front of strangers that I'd never met. And I've always been a very emotional person, but it was just one of those things in which I saw the unlocked potential and nature in which this could have, and how you could do something with a craft. Mm-hmm. See, I didn't understand what that meant. I didn't get what craft means, and I'm still figuring it out. But he was the one that really introduced me to what craft means, what process means, how it can help you, how there's actionable steps you can take if you need them. So I just remember seeing that and thinking, oh man, now I want to be in this class as opposed to that other one that people were talking about, whatever, Sweeney Todd. And I'm like, I have no idea what's going on.
Did Russ, did he subscribe to any particular school of teaching? Is there a school of teaching that resonates most with you? I know there's Strasberg. There's.
I like Hagen. I like Uta Hagen.
Uta Hagen resonates with me. For the audience who doesn't know the difference between the different schools of sure. acting, kind of walk them through that, in this.
Yeah. So I'll go through the schools of acting first, and then I'll talk a little bit about Russ. So Meisner, there's the group theater. Well, modern acting starts with Stanislavski out of Russia, right? And Stanislavski is like the method acting. It's kind of where that whole thing comes from.
It's
and
interesting
everybody thinks
that he's the first one, though.
Yeah. Well, he's not the first. He's just modern. He's the father of modern acting.
That's what I was going to say, because the method acting is a modern notion. It's not. Correct. If you listen to Laurence Olivier, he hated the notion of method acting.
Yes, yeah. Right. So I want to say he was in the 1800s, Stanislavski, if I'm not mistaken. But he's the father of modern acting. He's not the father of like theater started with the Greeks all the way back in Greece in the Festival of Dionysus. We're going deep right now. We're deep cutting.
Take us there.
And so it was the festival for lack there of a better term. Going to do a little explicitness, but it's the Festival of Tits and Wine. Is the Festival of Dionysus.
Tyrion Lannister have this type of festival.
Correct. And
the god of tits and wine.
The god of tits and wine. I drink and I know things. And hey, he's going to be in the new Dexter, Peter Dinklage.
Ooh, are you
Dexter Resurrection.
Okay.
So it's Uma Thurman. Move your big toe. So the Festival of Dionysus, they would have these plays that a lot of them were religious plays, back then, sort of celebrating, their, what is it called when you believe in a lot of gods? What's that called again?
Polytheists.
Yeah. Their polytheism. They had, the Greek gods and all that thing. Then you move on to the Romans and you keep on going. But a lot of them were specifically designed for religious purposes. And then you come towards modern theater, and modern theater would then take on a different form of actual people in real scenarios, not necessarily just for religious purposes. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we get introduced to Stanislavski and all these kinds of Chekhov, the Cherry Orchard, all that kind of stuff. So anyways, from Stanislavski, there is a group of teachers that came out of the group theater in New York. Meisner, you have Stella Adler, you have the director, the guy who did On the Waterfront, that did Streetcar Named Desire, Elia Kazan came out of there. All these huge,
arguably one of the best American actors ever, Marlon Brando.
Well, yes, correct. Mm-hmm. So you have all these people that come out of the group theater in New York. And they kind of split because they had different ideas. All right. So Stella Adler's imagination under the given circumstances. So you have given circumstance, as in you and I are brothers, our mom just died, and then let your imagination go from there. We're just getting home from a funeral. Toma. That's the setting. You let the imagination go wild. Toma. right? And then you have somebody like Meisner who everybody
Adler's
talks about
Adler's more fill in the blank of what you would do in that situation, or what
I think they're all kind of like
same.
that, just in different, you just get it in a different way.
So Meisner is what?
Meisner's repetition, right? So it's not, and again, I know a little bit more about Adler than I do about Meisner, but Meisner, one of his big things is repetition, right?
Okay.
So people think that with repetition you lose the flavor or whatever, but whatever, it's actually allowing for the impulses within you to kind of lead you in the way that you're going to go.
I feel like that's a Fincher type approach too. If you ever hear anything about David Fincher, the way he films,
100 takes,
or Vince Gilligan with Breaking Bad. You remember you watched Breaking Bad, right?
It's the best show of all time. I've seen it like 6 times.
I'd probably have to agree.
Why do you say it like that? Why do you bemoan the fact that it's the best show of all time?
Because that's a hefty ass title. By the way, they just finished wrapping on his new show that's going to come out on Apple TV
with Rhea Seehorn. I saw.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait. We have our audience can't wait. They can't wait for that one. They can't wait, and I can't wait for it. I can't wait. The episode Box Cutter of Breaking Bad.
Oh my.
And I don't have to even say it because any true Breaking Bad fan knows what happens in the episode Box Cutter. That scene, supposedly they did like 47 times in a row. So they got to clean up the blood. They got to do everything. They got to mop up the floor. They got to reset everything. They got to redo the
costumes.
The emotional intensity of Walt's reaction to everything, which I'm assuming they were so badass on knocking out everything in that episode that they had enough budget left to just be like, fuck it, we'll just go an extra.
At that point. And at that point in the show, dude, Breaking Bad, there's so much mythology behind it because it was on the chopping block for so many years. AMC was threatening to cancel it for, I'm almost positive, the first 3 seasons. Yeah. Really? Wow. So it had a horrible following.
I got into it around the 4th season. And I think that was.
I find that so surprising. Honestly.
When it came out on Netflix, is that when you guys started watching it, or were you? Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Well, there was a beautiful app that came out. Sorry, called I forgot what the hell it was called, but it had all the TV shows and movies that would come out for free on it. Pretty much, you'd pay like a sum a year. Something ridiculous.
What? I don't remember that. That's a great app.
I forgot what it was called, but it definitely wasn't legal. But I didn't do it.
We're not recording this or anything.
It wasn't mine.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful, tremendous.
Sorry, go ahead.
So Netflix licensed Breaking Bad, right? That was when actually Bryan Cranston came in to put up his own money to kind of save Breaking Bad. He came in to be a producer on it. So the first couple seasons, it was not doing well. That's when Mad Men was still on. Mad Men was on the chopping block a lot as well.
The only reason you heard me go.
Yeah, I knew you were hesitating for
Mad Men is better than Breaking Bad? Dude, Breaking Bad
it's in the gauntlet.
Breaking Bad ends like this.
Let me introduce
Mad Men ends like this.
Let me introduce you to the Thanos gauntlet of Story Archives.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. We have a sort of Infinity Stone gauntlet that eventually we'll do rewatches of. Now, we have personal favorites on that list. For example, we've been doing this pod for 3 years. We started with Peaky Blinders, okay?
The Peaky fucking Blinders, yeah. I like the Peaky Blinders.
The Peaky fucking Blinders. It's not technically a gauntlet show. If you want to be honest, if you want to judge it harshly, it doesn't deserve it.
Not there.
But
how many do we have? 4? We got 4. How many? What's a gauntlet consist of?
I think it's 5. You should have 5.
Yeah, pretty sure it's
5.
We haven't ever revealed what the gauntlet is, but Breaking Bad is most certainly on the gauntlet. It is on the gauntlet. Now, anything could be booted from the gauntlet. That is the way the gauntlet works.
Fair.
Breaking Bad's on there. Mad Men has to be on there. Has to be on there.
Okay.
I understand.
No argument there.
I'm not the biggest fan of the way Mad Men ends. I understand that. But it's just a masterpiece of a show.
Agreed.
The other 3 is where it gets real tricky because Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 4
agreed
is absolutely gauntlet material.
Agreed.
And 5 through 7 you can donate to freaking Goodwill. It's like sign the petition, recast the show if you need to, reshoot that shit, and we'll be okay.
How about Succession?
No, absolutely not. I haven't finished it. I haven't finished it.
That is one of the best shows of all time. That's another one. That's top 5 for me.
Damn, we're going here right now, huh?
Top 5.
We're going here. How do you not put Sopranos on this list?
I didn't say I didn't. But
I know
I understand. I understand a rhetorical question. I understood. I haven't.
If I had to put personal favorites, Peaky Blinder might be on there because I just love Peaky Blinders.
I didn't
really
finish.
rewatchable.
I gotta finish the last season.
It's more of a like I just love it. It does not that that it deserves to be there.
I love Adrian Brody. I just love him when he's like.
Look, there's a lot. See, that's my least favorite season. That's my
so funny to me. I just love him. He's so funny to me.
That's my least favorite season. Is Adrian Brody? I thought Adrian Brody was not good in that role.
I thought he was hilarious.
I didn't
thought he was
Adrian Brody. I just didn't love the season.
You thought he was hilarious. That's the thing. He shouldn't be hilarious. He should be actually menacing.
Yeah, I know. But I love him as an actor. I love Adrian Brody.
I like him too. I think for a long time,
Adrian Brody in The Brutalist now?
He is.
Yes. He's going to win.
The Oscar, for sure. It's a week. I think it's kind of a weak year.
Yeah. Let's see. That Conclave,
that real Timothée Chalamet movie, they're doing the most with it.
A Complete Unknown. I don't know. I loved Walk the Line, so I haven't seen it.
I love Timothée Chalamet.
Me too. I didn't see it.
I haven't watched it. Let me not comment. But look, let's put it this way. Let's call it like a strong year is if Daniel Day-Lewis was in a movie tomorrow with Paul Thomas Anderson and the rest of the competition still had a chance to win.
Dude, look, I agree with you. A lot of people don't fuck with PTA though.
A lot
of people don't.
I don't. I think his movies are more style over substance most of the time. This is so controversial, bro. I'm gonna get blackballed before I even get balled at all.
I kind of understand style over substance. I think There Will Be Blood had a lot of substance.
Fantastic.
Master, I would agree with The Master.
There Will Be Blood is awesome.
More style over substance. Licorice Pizza was okay. I liked it.
I haven't watched enough PTA to.
I didn't see Phantom Thread.
You know what happens to me with the Phantom Thread was good. Was very good.
Okay.
I can't talk, bro. All right, PTA. I'm sorry, dude.
Let's go back to the gauntlet of the Infinity Stones.
No, but let me give some love to PTA before he calls all his agents and says this guy in this random ass podcast with less than 1,000 subs blackball his directing career. The Phantom Thread, and There Will Be Blood, absolute masterpieces. Absolute.
Yeah.
To be honest, I couldn't get past the Grand. I don't know. That's Wes Anderson, Grand Budapest Hotel.
What? That's a great Wes Anderson movie.
That?
I couldn't finish it.
Really?
No, I couldn't.
Dude,
I watched that one in theaters.
But not because I didn't like it. Not because I didn't like it. There's a movie with George Clooney called Michael Clayton. Okay, yes. I rented it like 7 times. Okay, and every time I put it on, I fell asleep at the exact same time. Dude.
What time are you watching?
You fell asleep on the Grand Budapest Hotel?
Look, the only film that I want to watch right now of Wes Anderson is
you didn't answer.
Mr. Fox. That's the only one.
You fell asleep.
No, I didn't fall asleep in the Grand Budapest Hotel. I did worse. I turned it off. Okay.
Isle of Dogs is great. Isle of Dogs is really good. I liked Isle of Dogs.
I have not seen Isle of Dogs.
It's so beautiful.
I take inspiration from Wes Anderson. I did a shoot, and I said I want to do a top-down shot like Wes Anderson in Isle of Dogs of the sushi scene when they're making the sushi.
Yeah,
I want to do that, and we did.
They do that in Grand Budapest also.
Dude, Wes Anderson is in terms of cinematography and the way everything looks.
I understand. It's fantastic. A story the story doesn't grip you. I get it.
And by the way, it's not that I haven't if I sit down and do it, fantastic. There are certain directors whose stories have just gripped me from the start. Wong Kar-wai, if I want to get real snobby with this shit, his stuff is awesome. If you watch
I don't even know who that is. Who's
okay? He does a lot of Hong Kong films. I think Days of Being Wild. Amazing film. Watch that. Chungking Express. Amazing film. Watch that. In the Mood for Love. Fantastic film. Watch that. I don't think I've watched. Have I watched? I haven't watched. I don't know if I've watched any other of his films, but I've watched those 3. Awesome. Quentin Tarantino always reels me in. Danny Boyle always reels me in. Chris Nolan, except for Tenet, always reels me in.
Did you sit through Tenet?
I did.
See?
I didn't like Tenet, honestly. I wasn't a big fan of it.
A lot of people aren't.
Did you understand Tenet, Isaac?
It was confusing, but I also did not like the audio mixing on it. It was just like everything was at like 110%.
Yeah, let me preface that. Zach is a stickler for sound.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He's a sound engineer nerd. Yeah. That's what he was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
He likes the sound engineering.
Come on, pay attention, man.
My bad.
Nolan even says he doesn't understand Tenet. So he literally I saw an interview of him saying that he said it's not meant to be understood. So he was just fascinated with the idea of
making some shit nobody understood.
No, you doing something. It's already being done, almost like a predestination type of thing.
Okay.
Already being done, and then your hand still has to be there in order for that to happen. And the order in which it happens can be played with. Okay, so everything is still going to happen, and you still have to be there, but depending on when that happens, it can be moved around. That's what he said he was fascinated with.
Confusing, man.
Look, let me clarify, because I think people get all up like in arms when you make a critique about somebody. When you're an artist and you're creative and you're actually doing the craft, let me preface this, because I think people don't understand this. Nobody expects somebody's every work that somebody does to be the best thing that they do.
100.
You have to stretch yourself to do Orson Welles never surpassed Citizen 100. Kane ever again. Okay, I
haven't seen Citizen Kane.
You should.
I started watching it and I wasn't.
That's what I've heard.
I still want to finish it.
Me too. I want to watch it.
Don't give me shit, guys, for not watching PTA and Wes Anderson films, and you haven't watched Citizen Kane. That's crazy. Anyway,
I haven't seen.
It's on the list.
It's on the list. It's on the list.
There's plenty of films I haven't watched that if you guys heard that I haven't watched them, you'd be like, "That's crazy."
Have you seen Network? Have you guys ever seen Network?
Network by who?
Is that the Facebook thing?
Hold on.
No, that's the Social Network.
No.
Network is the movie where it's like, I'm fed up. It's the famous guy on TV that just gets pissed, and I'm not gonna take it.
I don't know.
Sidney Lumet. There we go. I was thinking about one of the best directors of all time. I would have to say Sidney Lumet is up there for me.
Yeah, that's completely out of my range.
12 Angry Men, Dog Day Afternoon. I'm almost positive he did one of my favorite.
So
The Verdict.
That's kind of my point, though, is that just because you don't like every film somebody does doesn't mean that you don't love their work. PTA, I love 2 of his films. Didn't he do Steel Magnolias with Tom Cruise? The one that ends randomly.
That's Magnolia. That's
Magnolia. My bad. The one with all the frogs.
Steel Magnolias is a much different movie. Yeah. I have not seen either one of those movies, Magnolia or Steel Magnolia.
Tom Cruise is probably his best performance ever, by the way.
Yeah, it's the one where he's crying at his dad's side, where he's crying.
If that doesn't, that's great. That scene is great. Philip Seymour Hoffman's in that too. He's awesome in it.
He's one of the goated for me. PSH,
yes, 100%. But what I was trying to say is, you have to stretch yourself. If you're not going so far that your film might fail, I think that you're not going far enough. And when it does hit, it does hit. Like a film nobody talks about with Nolan, and I know there's a ton of people who love it, but The Prestige is like, is The Prestige not his best film ever? Dark Knight, maybe.
No. It's Dark Knight. Like, I will put my bias aside. I think Prestige is one of the best scripts that he's worked on. That's one of the best scripts, and it's just
Hugh Jackman and Christian Bale working off each other.
Dude,
freaking!
And everything is told to you at the beginning of the movie. That's the thing that I love about The Prestige. Everything you need to know is at the beginning. I also love Interstellar.
That's my favorite movie of all time.
Really?
That's my favorite movie of all time. 100%.
Kind of a lot of people surprising.
So the reason it's my favorite movie of all time is, you have to take a lot of things into account, guys. The way it's like, you ever listen to an artist who you didn't like before, and then certain events happen in your life, and then you re-listen to their music, and you're like, it shit resonates with me now. Like I used to make fun of my sister for listening to John Mayer when I was a little legit, but then I got into a few relationships, got my heart broken a couple times, and then I listened to John Mayer again, and I was like, whoa.
Slow dancing in a burning room, baby.
This guy might be the best songwriter of his generation.
He's up there.
And that's Interstellar. I watched, I think, by myself, because I do love going to movies by myself during the daytime. Same. That's my jam. I don't go to movies at night for the most part. I don't. I go to movies during the day. I like empty theaters, sit in the back of the theater, and that's my jam. Okay. Interstellar in the biggest IMAX possible in South Florida. The museum, Auto Nation IMAX, biggest theater possible, to the point where you can look to different sides of the screen. I saw it there, and the combination of the sound and the story, and McConaughey going to heights he's never gone to before, everything. It was just the genre at that point hitting me at the right time of space exploration. The line in that movie that sums it up is what McConaughey says, is that, humans is too busy looking at the dirt. I don't even think he says that. I think John Lithgow might have said
No, he says it. Yeah, we're too busy looking at the ground.
We should look at
the sky.
Look at the stars.
Yeah, whatever he says. That whole thing.
And that's a worldview. That's a worldview being translated through a film. And then I read it even more deeply, right? You got this story about the Earth is coming to an end, right? And I know that, when they're going into space and they're going through the wormhole, and you have that scene where Anne Hathaway or somebody's touching the little substance that's coming through, and they're like, what is it?
The first handshake.
And then at the end, they're thinking, oh, maybe we saved ourselves. To me, I never read that film as we saved ourselves. To me, I always read it as, remember, when they started it and they go to the NASA meeting, they say a black hole has formed.
Someone put it there. Who put it there?
See, for me, I always read a higher power in doing it. And I read a whole different, and I have an archived post on IG that I wrote like a whole essay on Interstellar, because that movie was just so good. And I don't know, the score, everything together to me with Interstellar, it came to a point where it just felt like it was the director at his, as Bill Simmons likes to say, apex mountain, right? Hans Zimmer was at his apex mountain. Matthew McConaughey was at his apex mountain. You had a loaded cast: Casey Affleck, Timothy Chalamet, who nobody even remembers was in that film, Jessica Chastain, who perfect casting. The little girl looked just like her.
Michael Caine. You have Michael Caine. Don't forget about
Michael Caine, who's a freaking legend, who has some of the best acting teaching videos on YouTube for free if you want to look him up.
Yes. Does he really?
Yes, he does. Look him up. Fantastic. He's a goat.
You want to be weak? Blink. Just blink when you want to look weak. Yeah. If you want to look powerful, don't blink.
Yeah, he's so good, man. He's so good. Perfect Alfred.
Right.
Perfect Alfred.
Perfect Alfred.
Just the movie's great. What's your favorite movie of all time? And what's your favorite Nolan movie? I guess it has to be Dark Knight for you, right?
Favorite movie of all time. Letterboxd. Are you guys Letterboxd fans?
Yes, I was also playing with TV Time because I was trying to give the audience something to kind of keep tabs on what we're watching. Sure. But Letterboxd is awesome. They just need to do more TV.
I agree. They have the best format for reviews, but only for movies type of thing.
Yeah.
Then I follow them and they always ask people, what are your top 4 movies? And it's always so hard. And I forget, somebody said, I'll tell you what they are right now, because it's always changing. My top movie of all time is Dark Knight. But there's a lot, I kind of say it like that because there's a lot of asterisks attached to it. I have a very high emotional attachment to it. It was at a time in my life where it was very formative. I just love everything about it. I love the messages behind it. I think it's an incredible movie. I just think all of it's Harvey Dent. You either die a hero, live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Is one of the coldest lines in cinema. Yeah. I think it's amazing. So I just love that movie. But my favorite, what movie I love? I love Parasite, dude. I love that
you said Parasite. I love it. That.
I love Parasite. I think that is a genre-breaking movie. That is a movie that nobody can nail down into a genre because there's comedy, there's family drama, there's horror elements, there's some slasher elements.
It's a perfect movie.
It's an unbelievable movie. That movie is up there for me.
It's a statement, right? He's trying to send a message about
classes,
different social classes.
He froze. There he is.
Everybody froze.
I hear him.
Yeah, I hear him too.
It's a social statement on the social classes and the differences. He's trying to send a message with that.
Yeah.
That movie is incredible. I was going to say, what movies have resonated with you the most over
Lion
the
King.
last?
I'm not
For
joking.
real?
I love Lion. I love the
If
old.
that's the first one that
Please
comes
tell
to
me
your
the
mind.
original, like the animated one, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank God.
Yes.
I've known people that like the new one.
That
I
went
can't stand it.
that went a direction I didn't expect.
I didn't like the new one. If I ever, I need to watch Lion King at least once a year. I need to watch The Dark Knight at least once a year. And then I have The Verdict is up there as well on my letterbox. And then I have Godfather Part 2. So I do love The Godfathers. But The Verdict is an unbelievable movie.
I'm reading a book right now by Walter Murch, who cut together The Godfather 1 and 2. Did he do Godfather 1, 2, and 3? I don't know. His name is Walter Murch.
Never saw third. What was the question that you were going to ask, though? I cut you off, and I just said Lion King.
No, I was going to say, why does Lion King resonate with you so much? I love Lion King. It's my favorite. Man. It's my favorite Disney movie. That and Toy Story 1.
Oh man, why does Lion King resonate so much with me? I mean, it's the whole. I have I think a lot of daddy issues, kind of thing. Not a lot of daddy issues, but I have my thing where I want to make my family proud. I have the thing as well where I want to. My greatest fear for the longest time, and I've said this, has always been not living up to my full potential, is unfulfilled potential. And just the story of Simba, him kind of screaming at the stars at one point, going, "You always said that you'd be here for me," and he's not there. Is powerful for me. And then you have Rafiki, who hits him in the head. He's like, "Ow! What'd you do that for?" He goes, "What does it matter? It was in the past."
He gives him tough
and then
love,
and then he swings again, and Simba
ducks
it. And he goes, "You see, you can learn from the past." And I'm like, "Damn, dude, that is so hard." And it's just a perfect 90 minutes. It's a tight 90, and every scene matters.
90. That is a great term right there.
It's a tight 90, and every scene matters. And so I think, dude, just the Battle for Pride Rock.
If you think about
going home,
it's a perfect movie.
Fulfilling your calling, your purpose in life,
a hero's journey, right?
The hero's, yep, that is the epitome of the hero's journey. Nala, it should have been a PG-13 with the eyes she was giving Simba.
The eyes that she gave Simba.
100%. Sired a lot of little cubs. It's just one of those things, man. That movie, Pumbaa and Timon, it's just such a beautiful movie about friendship, about loyalty, about family, and it just kind of hits all the heartstrings for me. So that is just an amazing thing. That the score, again, it has one of the saddest scenes of all time, which is, "Come on, Dad, get up." Come on, bro. If you're not crying when that happens, even in the CGI one, I cried at that moment because it's just.
I haven't watched a single CGI Lion King or my Disney movie. Period.
I like Aladdin live action. I like Aladdin.
I haven't watched any of them.
I haven't seen that.
I had the lowest expectations, and that's probably why I liked it, because I thought it was really fun.
We deviated the convo. I wanted to come back to your. By the way, you're not cut for time, are you? You're chilling. Okay.
Yeah.
Chilling? Okay. Because
I'm still drinking the whiskey. So
I just poured a second or third glass here, so we're good. Zach,
when you say second or, when there's an or in there, that means that we're getting to a good limit here.
Yeah, you're getting loose enough.
Zach says he needs to hop for a second here. Zach, you gone for good or?
Yeah, I'll probably be gone for good. I got some baby things I got to attend to. Right. So
we'll bear with him. Whichever one or two audience members are left after our conversation. I'm always trolling about that. Zach's hopping. His baby has been up and down. Not serious, but go do your thing. Yeah. Go do your thing, Papa.
Yeah.
Go do what you gotta do.
I will catch the rest of it. I will listen to this episode in case nobody else does for some reason.
This is going long, bro. I'm like just getting warm. I want to get back to the Uta Hagen thing. Zach, go do your thing. If you want to hop back on,
honestly, I love the format. Like I'm liking this. So like definitely keep going. But. Yeah. I'm going to peace out. I'll catch you guys later.
It was a pleasure meeting you, sir. God bless.
Great meeting you as well, man.
You and your baby. Again. Yeah, ditto. Enjoy your turtleneck weather up there and have a good time being a papa. That's the most important job, being a parent.
All right, bro. If things get resolved sooner than you think, hop back in. All right.
Sounds good, man. Talk soon.
All right, later.
Bye.
Isaac, you mentioned Uta Hagen as your as your acting approach that
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you never did. You said Stanislavski was more method acting. Meisner or Strasberg was more leave it to the imagination. What is Uta Hagen, and why do you?
All these people came from Stanislavski, so they didn't necessarily study under him. Some people did, but their development of their techniques are sort of branched from what Stanislavski did. And I should also say Stanislavski kind of changed his technique the older that he got. That's another kind of thing I want to throw in there that I love about acting is that it's never the same. It never stays the same. I heard Ian McKellen talking about it one time that he goes, when he was in his late 60s or early 70s, he said, the thing that I like about this is that I never know it all. I could never know it. I could never know it all.
It's amazing for him to say that too, who's been in the game for 50 plus years.
Well, that's what I'm saying, dude. You know what works for you. And then that's why I also said earlier, process is still something that I'm kind of figuring out because I'm coming to a place where I'm more comfortable in how I approach things. However, it's little deviations within that. So something that Meisner says is the technique is there for when you need it. So it's a roadmap. It's a compass if you feel like you're lost in the woods. If you feel like you have no idea which way to go back to the technique. Which the simple stuff is, what am I going after? What's stopping me? Where did I just come from? What's my relationship? That kind of stuff.
The who, what, where, when, why type stuff.
Yeah. There's core objective obstacle is kind of the most important, and then you have little things underneath that, like tactic, moment before, moment after, just a bunch of stuff, right? So anyways, Uda she has this thing called the 9 questions, which is why I like it. So Uda is really good for preparation for myself because it is kind of a who, what, where, when, and why type of thing. But Uda, for myself, I love writing. I love journaling. I did the artist way. So I love physically writing.
What is the artist way? I heard you mention that multiple times in a different podcast.
So a couple of books.
I also enjoy journaling, so I'm asking selfishly here.
Okay, great. So a couple of books that changed my life because of Russ Blackwell when I was in college when I was 18. My contacts are getting dry. I might need to take them out in a little bit. But anyways,
do your thing.
I'm okay for right now. I'll take them out in a second.
You're the lab rat.
I love it, dude. Yeah,
I'm honestly going to tell any guest that comes on here because this format to me wouldn't work as an hour or 30 minutes. Go if you need to take your contacts off, do it. I will clap and we'll start.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, let me take my contacts off and I'm going to get another ice cube so I can put it in my whiskey. I'll be right back.
Do your thing.
What are you drinking there? Some LaCroix?
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh.
My seltzer water just exploded everywhere.
That's what I was asking. I was literally asking what you were drinking there. Hold on.
Seltzer, Whole Food. I'm a health freak.
Are you really?
Yeah, for sure. Like in terms of the stuff I put in my body.
Yeah.
Health freak. Yeah. Ginger, just a ginger seltzer. I mean, health freak, but also trying to like do it on a budget, which is tough.
Well, I think the 75-25.
Let me clap our way back in here so I have an editing point here. And we're recording in 3, 2. We're good.
I had to clap for me too because I'm recording over here.
You're good.
So what I was saying, I think the 80-20 rule, like 4 out of 5, is good to eat healthy, clean. Do you meal prep?
No, because I get sick of the food after like 3 days. So I'll do.
Got it.
Sorry, guys. We were talking about stuff like that. No, I mean, I love this seltzer water, man, because it's just it's a ginger seltzer water, so I think it's a good digestive too.
It is, and ginger ale is amazing.
Yeah. I try to do the ginger ale, but the sugar is so crazy that it's a little bit. I try to like limit it. But you were talking about Uta Hagen. You still haven't broken down what's the difference and why it resonates. You said she has the 9 rules.
I literally have her book right here. So she wrote another book after this.
Uta Hagen,
and she has another one that she wrote after this, but this is the one that I like the most. I believe the second one is called Respect for the Actor. I can't remember what the second one is called, but anyways, essentially, the most basic way that I can describe it is that she has these questions that allow you to think about portions of this actor or this character that you wouldn't think about otherwise. So if I could just read you what the 9 questions are here. I have a note on my phone that's a little easier. So let me find it on my phone.
Remind me to bring up Westworld after this.
Okay. So here are the 9 questions, and they might sound very basic, but you could break them down even further. Who am I? What time is it? Where am I? What surrounds me? What are the given circumstances? What is my relationship? What do I want? What's in my way? What do I do to get what I want? All right, so those are her 9 questions.
That was 9? You just read off 9 right there?
I read off 9.
That covers everything, though. So
correct.
Who am I? What do I want? What's in my way? How am I going to get it?
What's my relationship? What are the given circumstances, right? So like, for instance, very basically, kind of like a Knives Out thing. Let's say you and I are brothers. We're estranged. We don't talk to each other. We haven't talked to each other in 20 years. Our mother just died, and you were caretaking for our mother, but she left everything in her will to me. So we're here settling the will. We haven't talked in 20 years. What do you want? I want what's in the will. Or you want what's in the will, what's owed to you.
Yeah, because
I've
been taking care of her, and you've been reloading.
You see? So it's like immediately all that shit starts filling in for you.
Where have you been? How have your travels been?
How do you get what you want, right? Yeah. What's it to you? Why does it matter?
Passive aggressive. I'm gonna make you feel bad about how much of an absent son you've been.
Yeah, correct. You could, right? Unless you're the demure one, right? Unless you're the one that's a little bit more, right? The story of the prodigal son. Unless you're the son that's always stuck around. You're conflict averse. You don't like, So it's all these things begin to fill in everything. And one of the things that I love that I read recently in here, because I'm rereading the book and I'm like highlighting it because I want to be able to kind of keep everything in here. You want that to
be muscle memory.
Absolutely. And it takes decades.
Yeah.
It takes decades. It's not just right away. It's one of those things that you're on attention. It's one of those, I only have to sit. It's one of those things that is, if I must use myself, won't I be the same in every part? They're simply playing the identical. Anyways, it's one of those things that you have to continue doing, and then it'll just sit in you after you've done it many, 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 many times. Right. So anyways, I really enjoy her technique because it allows for my subconscious to rest easy.
Yeah. Because you're really grounding yourself in the scene with those.
And I'm doing the work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, this is the way that I feel comfortable. So when I show up, I can just be a little more malleable.
Do you have any
of all that?
Do you have any actors who are like vocally proclaiming Uta Hagen as their go-to that you look up to or anything like that? Like nowadays, besides maybe, I know Heath Ledger was your guy, but Heath Ledger was a big method actor.
Okay, Heath Ledger was. This is okay. Tom Hardy talks about this too. I don't know if you've seen Tom Hardy kind of go off on method.
On Heath Ledger or method?
No. Just method in general, because people talk about him being method.
I don't know if he's method.
That people talk about him being method all the time, and he just kind of goes off on it because people have a misconception.
Daniel Day-Lewis is method,
and there's also a misconception surrounding that, right? So, method is just kind of staying in the zone to be able to access it easier.
That's fine. Right? That's fine. There's people who take it to extremes, right? And
Jared Leto.
Correct me when I'm wrong. Well, I was going to go deeper. I don't even know if Jared Leto goes too far. River Phoenix died. What is the movie he did that he was a male prostitute? Idaho something. It was
yeah.
It was a Gus Van Sant movie.
My own private Idaho. Right.
I believe he literally acted as a male prostitute off. Bro, I hope I'm not wrong about that, but I'm pretty positive I heard something about that.
Feel, I mean, Aaron Paul talks about this, that during Breaking Bad at the beginning, he would wear Jesse's clothes home, and then he'd like hang out in the skeeviest areas of New Mexico to see what people were doing. Like he'd bum cigarettes from people at 2 a.m. in the middle of nowhere, in New Mexico, and it was getting to him. And Bryan Cranston took him aside one day, and he goes, "It's okay to leave the makeup on the set." That's what he told him. He's like, take off the makeup when you go home.
I was going to ask.
You have to keep it on.
I was going to ask you this because you've actually acted with Aaron Paul, but I wanted to ask you a question about method. Method always kind of scared me because when I was like a novice actor, and I would still say I'm novice because I never, I haven't continued the craft at this point, but I feel like now talking to you, that method is what a novice actor would cling to because it's it's the way in your head that you first grapple onto a character, which is I have to be that character. I'm going to act like this character. If that character smokes cigarettes, I'm going to smoke cigarettes for 6 months, right? All those things that come into mind. I think that's a novice actor's approach. And then what you just mentioned kind of like struck a light bulb in my head, which was the Bryan Cranston interaction kind of struck off before then, but he's a veteran, right? So he's coming in through decades of acting, talking to this kind of novice, right? Because let's just compare the experience disparity there between him and Aaron Paul at that point in Aaron Paul's career.
It's at that time, right.
And he's stumbling into one of his best roles that he's done, probably until this point, still his best role, right?
It's hard to top it. It's hard to top
it when you invest 6 seasons into a role, right? I think they went 5 seasons, and then Cranston's coming in and telling him, hey, no, you don't have to be Jesse Pinkman. Jesse Pinkman is a character who exists within the confines of this. If you want to go to Skid Row and understand what it's like to be a junkie and research it and see it, fine. But, like that famous
You don't have to be a junkie in order to play a junkie.
And am I wrong in thinking, just my first impression, that a novice actor might just latch on to method acting?
I think I don't know if it's a novice actor latching onto it. I think that it would be the novice mentality or a sort of misconceiving of what method is, and that's what they would latch on to, because I don't think that's what the method is. This is the whole thing. So Stanislavski, at his time, there would be an actor who would literally play a part for 40 years. He'd play the same part for a decade plus, because you would dedicate yourself to the craft, that craft. Yes. So in doing it for a decade plus, you eventually would become more of that on stage, not in life, on stage. So there was this misconception that you had to, because it's such a short time frame, you had to be that character when you go home. Like, people always talk about Daniel Day-Lewis as Lincoln. When he went home, he wasn't calling his wife Mary, whatever her name was, the Abraham Lincoln's wife. He was like, Mary. He's like, no, he knew that he had kids. He has kids. He knows he has a wife. Now, I'm sure this is the other thing. He might have separated himself from them to a certain degree.
Yes.
So maybe, a few nights a week he'd stay in a hotel, whatever. I don't know him. But what I'm saying is, he knew that he was Daniel Day-Lewis playing Abraham Lincoln. It's not like he didn't know that he had a wife at home.
I've heard him mention that the reason he takes off so much time between films is because he does need a time to kind of come back to himself.
Yeah.
Right? Where that voice
can see that.
Come back to you too. I remember DiCaprio talking about after he played The Aviator, and he said that he had developed like a form of OCD, where he needed to kind of overcome it because he was doing the Howard Hughes, washing his hands.
Yeah,
right. And so maybe he, at that point in his career, was doing some sort of that method,
I think, okay, so this is a very small microcosm of this, but when I did that some more, I had an accent.
You did,
regardless,
I remember
regardless of if you think it was good, bad, or indifferent, I had an accent.
Let me intro that for the audience. Isaac was a co-lead in a film that was number 1 on Netflix for like at least
number two.
Dude, I could have swore it was number 1 on my end here.
I don't know.
I might have pushed you up there myself, but for at least 2-3 weeks, it was number 2 globally on Netflix as a romance film, or in the film category, period, on romance. So, and your character did have like a Spanish accent. I believe he was a Spaniard cook, right?
Yes, that's correct, from Spain. And I would listen to Javier Bardem talk on this one podcast over and over and over and over and over again, which my cousin was the one that actually introduced me. He was my accent donor. I had never heard that before. So he was like the person that I would listen and try to emulate. Anyways, I would stay in that accent while I was on set because it was easier for me to then move into scenes. Because on sets, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. For people that don't know, I'm sure you probably have talked about this on the pod, but you literally are just sitting as an actor. You're sitting and waiting for everybody to set up everything, and then they go, okay, we're ready for you. And then you go and you stand there. They might do like a little rehearsal or a camera rehearsal lighting. They're like, okay, now go sit down. And then you wait for 45 minutes for them to finish all the lighting and everything, maybe an hour, maybe longer. And then they call you in and you do it for, if you're lucky, 5 times, 6 times, right? So anyways, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. So I stayed in the accent talking to people so I could much more easily get into it as we were doing the scenes. Anyways, and funnily enough, when I was shooting Dexter, this one woman, she was an extra and she kept looking at me and I was like, what's up? And she goes, do I know you? I said, I don't know. Do you know me? She goes, what have I seen you in? I go, I have no idea. What have you seen me in? And she asked me, are you a chef? And I said, no, I'm not a chef. I was a chef in a movie. She goes, that's it. I saw you in That's Amor. I watched it last week. And I go, yes, that's true.
She was an extra, you said?
Yeah, she was an extra. And she said, but you don't have an accent in real life. And I go, thank you. That is the biggest compliment you could have given me. And then she said, and you're such a dick right now that I didn't recognize you. And I go, that's amazing. Thank you so much. So that was a very nice compliment. But the point is, I stayed in that so that it was a little bit easy. The ignition was on and I was in neutral. So all I had to do was shift into drive.
I could imagine a role that you took on That's Amor, right? Because you're in the Hollywood world. I'm in the Miami world, all right? Which is completely different. You're in the Mecca. I'm waiting for the Mecca to blow up and go everywhere else. That's the world I'm in.
It will. I'm dedicated to bring something to Miami, bro. That's something else that I am too.
I think it's happening right now, but I don't want to diverge. I think it's just like there's content. Look, we're on a 24/7 cycle. Everybody needs stories.
Yes.
It's a beautiful time to be a creator. That's Amor. I feel like it would give you complications as an actor in some sense because somebody might look at that and be like, "Oh, he probably has an accent like he has in that film, right?" Because your name on your IMDb is Isaac Gonzalez Rossi, right? So they're thinking Spanish actor, Spanish accent, which might ice you out from you have a perfectly American accent. I know you can go SoFlo Cuban like I can because we're both Cuban.
Yeah.
South Florida vernacular that we both have, right? But I could see That's Amor somebody judging you superficially from that role. And I would probably hide that shit from my portfolio if I was you, if I'm trying to get roles that don't have an accent.
It's interesting. When I first moved out here, I just went by Isaac Rossi. I think that the symmetry in name is great.
But feels more Italian.
Yeah. So it's 5 letters, Isaac Rossi. I went by that in school, Isaac Rossi. Gonzalez Rossi.
I don't know you by Isaac Gonzalez Rossi. I know you by Isaac Rossi.
Correct. So I came out here and I was doing that. And then I had my agent. My agent knew that I was Cuban from Miami, that I could speak Spanish and everything. And then he was getting feedback saying he'd sent me out for these Spanish roles, but they would say, but he has an Italian last name. And they didn't even look at my reel or anything or my pictures. And my agent would say, he's Cuban from Miami. And the people would still say, yeah, but his last name's Italian. And he would say, he is a Cuban from Miami. If you let him come in, you'll see that he's Hispanic. Yeah. So my agent was saying, dude, would you be open to adding like a Hispanic last name or whatever? And I said, well, my real last name is actually Gonzalez Rossi. And the second I put Gonzalez in there, I was getting called in for Hispanic roles.
Wow.
So
that's so bad.
Yeah. The amount of open-minded creativity sometimes is not there when it comes to allowing somebody to show you.
Yeah, that's so not surprising at all.
Yeah, the preconceived notion is already there. So after That's Amor came out, I got maybe 4 or 5 auditions in a row of just the Spanish chef who the girl falls in love with. That's pretty much everything that I got right then and there. So it's weird, dude.
The beautiful thing about this profession, though, is you're always one opportunity away from the door just exploding. You're one door away. I think for you, I always think South Florida ties and the same name, Oscar Isaac. All right. I always think Oscar Isaac, you both have black hair, black beards, same damn name, kind of. He's I think Nicaraguan or Honduran. I don't know where he's from.
Yeah, I think it's like Peruvian and Cuban or something.
But he went to FIU. He's from South Florida.
Yeah,
and I think the movie that really set him apart was the movie that he plays. What the fuck is it?
Inside Llewyn Davis was the movie that blew him up.
It was, but there was another one too.
Ex Machina?
No, before that.
Where he played
Quiet January, a quiet something, a quiet.
Oh no! That's you're thinking about where he played the mob boss.
Yes, but not
History
really.
of Violence.
History? No, that's a Viggo Mortensen film.
Oh, the one with him and Jessica Chastain. The movie you're talking about.
Yes, I know. We're talking about the same movie. We just both have the wrong name.
Yes.
Okay, that movie showed. I think that and Inside Llewyn Davis to me were the okay, he's here. And which is funny. Yeah. My sister has a friend. Her name is Jennifer as well, same as my sister Jennifer Contacts, actually. Shout out. She worked in LA. She was like his assistant for years. And she said he was the nicest guy ever. But he just blew up. And my point in here is that all it takes is getting in line with the people who are going to keep you busy in that sense, right? So all it takes is for you to work with the right director under the right subject, under the right subject matter, and then forget any sort of preconceived notion of what your accent might be based on your name, based on a previous film. And now we're going to actually judge you as an actor that can change his damn voice to whatever he wants it to change to. So with that being said, I wanted to bring up, you were in Westworld, right? You were in season 2 of Westworld.
Season 3.
Season 3. I regretfully say that I lost track of Westworld shortly after season 1. So I'm not caught up with it, but I did listen, or we did talk about this on the podcast that you interviewed me on about the best direction you had. You're in Dexter now and you have a reoccurring role. Is this the biggest role that you've had so far? And what has that experience been like for you? Because this is a pretty big show. For the audience who doesn't know, he's in Dexter Original Sin. And it is the prequel of how Dexter became the vigilante serial killer that he is.
The Batman. Right?
And Isaac plays Gio, who I believe is his sister's boyfriend or love interest, right?
Yes.
So what has that experience been like for you? Because that's not just in for one episode. You've been in for most of the season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was in half of it. So I will answer that question, but I'm going to go back to what you said. All it takes is one job.
Yeah.
We have a really good friend of ours that was in a giant movie franchise when she was young. Giant. And
can you name it or no?
She was in the Hunger Games.
Okay.
And she has worked all of her life and everything. Rue? No, I don't remember what the character's name is. I didn't see it, to be honest.
Yeah, shit.
I think I saw the first 2 movies, but then
you don't know who she played? I read those books, that's why. Okay.
I'll tell you offline, but I don't remember.
Cool.
We've talked about this before, and the truth of the matter is it's not one job, it's the 20 jobs.
Interesting. Okay.
That make you that's like that overnight success, right? It's everybody always talks about it's all it takes is one. It's not. It takes 20. So
I guess I'm thinking of it more from the perspective of the director.
Well, from the fan perspective too.
Yeah, true.
Also, because the director, the people don't get on your radar until you see them in something.
Yeah, of course.
It's all this
100%.
as the actor's perspective prior to. It's this, and I hate to use the ladder mentality. I heard Barry Jenkins talk about it recently, build horizontally, not vertically. And I love that analogy.
Ooh, interesting.
But it's about building that depth of work. A lot of people hit quick, you notice them and you go, but it's about building that depth of work that's 20 over time. That also teaches you a lot of stuff. So anyways, that was something that I have learned, and it's a battle of attrition out here. It's a battle of who can stay the longest, survive in it. What that Morgan Freeman video you sent me, that Marcus Aurelius quote that you just quoted earlier on, it's all kind of in line with everything. Seth Rogen has talked about that too. The easiest way to succeed is don't quit. That's really true. And life is life is life is life. I say that all the time because you're going to wake up. Something's going to happen. You just got to keep going. It's attitude, baby. So to Dexter, it is my biggest thing that I've had so far. Yeah, it's the biggest. That's Amor was pretty big in a smaller degree. Dexter's just a huge show. It's a huge show with a huge fan base. So much hype with the cast: Christian Slater, Patrick Dempsey, Sarah Michelle Gellar's in it. The guy who plays Dexter, Patrick Gibson. The girl who plays Deb, Molly Brown. It's a lot of people. Patrick Gibson is kind of known. He was in the OA for all the seasons.
Okay.
Molly's a little bit more of. She's worked a lot in 8 years, and she's a little bit more. But this is her biggest thing that she's done. I don't want to speak for her, but in terms of her career, it's Deb. Deb is huge. Deb is huge, right?
Massive role. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my biggest role in terms of length and in terms of exposure, I would say. So how it's been, I learned a lot. I learned what TV is like, especially shooting a season. I learned the difficulties of being on something for such a long time. I learned the joys of being on something for such a long time. I learned about certain mentalities in terms of, you know what, this is my role. I'm going to try and take some liberties and throw in my own stuff. And if they don't want me to do it, okay, fine. They can tell me and I won't do it. So, and we had an amazing direction, dude. We had 2 directors the entire season. Michael Lehman, who did Heathers back with Christian Slater in the 80s. That was like the thing that kind of blew him up, but he's worked a bunch. And Monica Raymond, and she directs a lot of. She directed like Power Book 3 or whatever it's called, Ghost Power Book, that show. And then she's also an actress. She went to Juilliard, and she is the lead of a show.
Showtime keeps a lot of their directors in house. Then, not in house, but Power is also another Showtime show.
There you go. I mean, a lot of these things do way.
You said she did Juilliard. What?
She went to Juilliard, and then she's an actor, and she was the lead of a show on Hulu called Hightown. I believe it was called Hightown. Both of them were incredible, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again. They had very different styles, but achieving the same goal, which was allowing the actors to have peace.
So let's get into that a little bit.
Yeah.
How long did you have to work on Dexter for?
I was shooting from June to October.
June to October. And let me ask you, was that all on set, or did you have to go into a studio and do any voiceovers for anything?
ADR, like going in and
redubbing stuff. Yeah.
Yes, I did. I had to do that for Westworld as well. I've had to do it for every project that I've been on.
So that's like a common thing. So you went from June to October, and then I'm assuming ADRs towards the end, towards the October portion of it.
Yep.
How long were you on set for? June to what?
June to October.
Literally
June to October.
So ADR is happening in between. Is it happening after all the on-set stuff?
Yeah, after.
So you can knock out most of the ADR stuff in a couple of days.
Oh, I knocked it out in an hour.
Oh, beautiful.
Because, and it's not because I'm so good. It's because ADR usually happens in outdoor scenes. So if you have a controlled scenario, sound is a lot more easy to contain.
Yeah.
Outdoor, you have helicopters, you have a plane, there's cars in the distance, you have the wind, whatever. It's a lot harder for outdoor scenes. And I have to give them credit because I didn't have to ADR much. So the sound people were unbelievable on the show.
Did you film majority LA or Miami?
LA.
What part of LA to simulate Miami?
Long Beach and the Valley.
Interesting. Do they have to do anything with the palm trees? Because LA has different palm trees.
Okay, so if you watch Dexter, the original Dexter, and this one, being from Miami, you can tell. When it's Miami,
you got the royal palms here, and over there you got like the high palms that are just like
correct. So you can tell when they're in Miami or when they're when they're in South Florida or when they're out here.
It's like there's this Apple TV show. Our podcast is known a lot for doing Apple TV shows to the point where like we would get Apple podcast reviews saying, "Why are you talking about Netflix shows? Stick to Apple TV shows."
Wow, Palm Royal. Are you about to talk about Palm Royal?
No, we were going to talk about Invasion, a sci-fi thriller on Apple TV. And there's a scene where I forget what the name of the actor is, but he's leaving Florida, and there's so many mountains everywhere, and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus Christ.
That's what I mean, dude. I see that also when I watch like the OG Dexter. Sometimes I'll see a hill, a street with a hill, like a little meet that, and LA. I'm like, I know that because I'm from South Florida.
Yeah.
But people that, it's dude, it's crazy. It's crazy the way that these things are made, bro. It's crazy.
There's
crazy.
a neighborhood over here that they film a lot in to simulate that it's not South Florida, which is Fort Lauderdale. It's called Rio Vista. They'll film a lot there because the houses are like brick and stuff like that.
Oh, that's interesting. So, like colonial?
Yeah, to the point where you don't know it's South Florida. It's a ritzier part of Fort Lauderdale. People don't. I mean, the production world knows it, but like I know my boy was just in a Target commercial, a campaign that they just did over there. But you simulate the best you can with whatever you have, right? Every state has something, right? So let me ask you a question. When you're on set and you got a scene, on average, how many takes are you doing per scene?
Depends. It depends. Hold on, my wife just got home. Let me scream say hello to her.
Do your thing, bro. This is like a 3-hour podcast. We're good. You're listening to the Story Archives podcast, a podcast brought to you by Soapbox Network. I am your host, Mario Busto. We're waiting for Isaac to speak to his wife, and salutations.
I talked to her. She's great. She rides horses. She just got home from riding horses.
From riding horses? Well, you're over there right now. It's 9:00, right? So
yeah. She just got home.
Yeah, I would eat dirt on a horse for sure.
Oh, dude. She's an incredible horse. She's an incredible horse. She's an incredible horse rider. I don't even know how to say that. Equestrian. I don't even know. What do you call a horse rider, Sky? An equestrian. She's a hunter jumper. She literally jumps.
Also an actress herself.
Yes, she is. And she has a movie coming out on Sunday, 2/23 on Lifetime, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
There we go.
8 p.m. Eastern. It's called Murder at the Lighthouse.
I'm going to tell my mom.
Yeah, dude. I'm sure your mom has seen her. 100%.
My mom 100% has
100%.
100%.
Hi. Well, you brought the turtleneck on and everything.
Oh, yeah. I brought
Hi.
Hey, how you doing?
I just want to say hi.
Hi, Mama.
Hey, she knows you.
Yeah.
Hey, she knows you, man. She said you brought the turtleneck out, which means that is Isaac showing up with the turtleneck. That's fantastic.
That's my baby.
Tell your wife that you're the guinea pig experiment. Like I'm really interested to see how this episode does because we've never done a long form. And by the way, like I could go for another. Like I could go for a while. Like I could go for a while, dude.
She's gonna take a shower now. We got some time.
We got time. All right. So you mentioned. I wanted to ask you. So you worked. So how many takes per scene? Let's just
good question.
Average it out.
I would say.
How many times is the director coming up to you being like, Isaac, I like what you did there, but what do you remember? Maybe remember that you're just, you're her love interest and her brother's a serial killer, and you're kind of,
per setup, I'd say four takes.
4 takes.
So per setup, average.
Okay.
Sometimes it'd be 2, sometimes it'd be 7. You understand? But per setup, I'd say 4.
You've been an extra on set.
I have so much empathy for them, and I am always the first person to be like, thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. Because I remember being an extra, and you're just cattle, and you're being just rounded up, and people are telling 100%. You, don't talk, stop talking.
The production arm. Let me not speak for every production. I was an extra on Rock of Ages. I've been an extra on a bunch of things.
Dude, me too. I used to get blasted and go to Rock of Ages.
You were an extra on Rock of Ages too?
Yeah, man.
How are we there at the same time when we didn't see each other?
Because there was like 10,000 people there. That's why.
I was selected to be Russell Brand's body double.
No, I didn't know that.
I was.
He was interesting. I was in a couple scenes where he was there, and so was Tom Cruise. And he was on one. I was
there for the Russell Brand and Alec Baldwin scenes. I was not there for the Tom Cruise scenes.
All right.
Okay. I was there all day in my 80s glam rock. I mean, that was fantastic. They put a wig on me. It was awesome. And they just said, we need a body double for Russell Brand. And I just raised my hand. And they selected me. They ended up choosing a PA. I don't know why, but because I fit into Russell Brand stuff. Like I literally same height as Russell Brand and everything. So I was like, damn, this is gonna be it. And by the way, they say Alex Baldwin's a douchebag. Okay, super nice guy.
Really,
super nice guy. To the point where he was, and maybe he's not all the time, but I'm gonna just say my experience with Alec Baldwin. He was working. There was an extra on their phone, and a production person they were ripping into this extra. Okay, because they're like, no phone, whatever they were saying, whatever the hell they were saying. And Alec Baldwin's like, I asked her for something or something like that. I asked her for something. And he stood up, bro. He stood up like, freaking fist for fist, stood up for the extra. And Russell Brand was so nice. I remember I said, because I knew Russell Brand from Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yes.
That, okay.
Yes.
And so I said I was on the second level at this point at Revolution. That's where they filmed a lot of Rock of Ages.
Revolution.
So I'm on the second floor looking down. I see Russell Brand come back, and I say, I forgot what the hell I said to Russell, but I said, "Chip, chip, cheerio." I said, "Chip, chip, cheerio, Russell," or something like that. I said something like British to him because I just loved him so much. Forgetting Sarah Marshall is one of my favorite movies ever.
Agreed.
And I thought he just wasn't gonna say anything back, bro. He walked past me, came back, and said, "Hello, mate." He like jerked his head up 90 degrees. Said, "Hello, mate. How you doing?" Bro, what a sweetheart that guy is. He was super raunchy, making every single sex joke in the book from the stage. I know he's turned a different page, and everything, but even if he was telling those jokes, the character of the person was still the same as today.
Bro, this is the other thing that I have. So I heard Tom Holland say this, and I really believe this. I don't take myself seriously. I take what I do seriously. So
he's going to be on Odysseus with Chris Nolan, by the way.
Yeah, I know. And the Odyssey. Mm-hmm. Matt Damon is Odysseus. And apparently he's using an animatronic Cyclops. He's not going to use CGI for the Cyclops.
Robert Pattinson has a hell of a year coming up. He's got a movie, Mickey 17, coming out with
Yes.
He's got a movie with Zendaya coming out called The Drama. He's got a movie coming out with Jennifer Lawrence called, I forgot what the hell it's called. Something with Jennifer Lawrence, though. He has the Batman 2, and then he has Odysseus.
Have
all
you seen
filming this year.
Good Time?
No, that's the one with those brothers,
Safdie brothers.
The Safdie brothers,
dude. That's the movie that made me look at Robert Pattinson and go, "Damn, that's an actor. That's a thespian."
I love Robert Pattinson. I'm not. Me too. Did you see the trailer for Mickey 17? The Bong Joon-ho. He did Parasite.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of the voice Robert Pattinson chose.
I mean, we'll see, dog. We'll see.
I
can't judge anything based on trailers. I try not to.
Well, you're very empathetic because you're the.
Well, I'm also the type of person that I'm a very easy critic because anything that anybody makes, I say, "Good for you, you made something." After knowing how hard it is for anything to ever hit the finish line, dude, I have so many things that I've been a part of that started and never get to the finish line.
It's hard.
It's amazing.
Though. It's hard to like. So Scorsese's known for the voiceover thing. Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And I feel like Mickey 17 is that.
Yeah.
And the voiceover thing is very difficult.
Right now, it's that. That's what we were shown. We'll see if that's it.
If that's what it is.
Yes.
Feels very much like Edge of Tomorrow, Tom Cruise.
Yes, 100%. Have you seen Moon? Have you ever seen the movie Moon with Sam Rockwell?
I own it and I haven't watched it because Sam Rockwell is my favorite actor. You know what one of my favorite movies is?
What?
It has Sam Rockwell. See if you can guess it.
3 Billboards.
Nope. I wonder if
Iron Man 2.
No, it's going to be so out of the blue. You're not going to even get it.
Hold on.
Because it reminds me of my childhood so much.
Sam Rockwell reminds you of your childhood so much.
Well, not his role. I feel more like the kid in the movie.
Like the kid in the movie. No, I'm not going to guess it. What is it?
You ever seen The Way, Way Back?
No.
Oh my God, it's such a good movie. It's Steve Carell's in it. The girl from Finding Winn-Dixie or Because of Winn-Dixie is in it. What's her name?
The blonde girl?
The blonde girl, yeah. Super cute.
She's in, I think she's in the, Britt Marling?
No, that's not her name. I know her name if I hear it, but that's not her name. Way, Way Back's about a boy. They go to the same beach every summer. He falls in love with this girl who's the neighbor. Sam Rockwell is kind of like the cool guy manager of the local water park. What is the name of the woman who's his love interest? She's so likable. She's in a show on Apple TV called Money. What's her name? What the hell's her name?
The Way Back. Toni Collette?
Is that? No, it's not Toni Collette.
No, that's the mom. Anna Sophia Robb.
Anna Sophia Robb is the blonde girl.
Yes. Amanda Peet.
Amanda Peet is
Maya Rudolph.
Maya Rudolph is Sam Rockwell's
love
Loot.
interest. It's called Loot.
Loot,
The show's called Loot.
Money. Yeah. That movie's amazing. I love that movie. Steve Carell's the douchebag stepdad. It's such a good movie.
Wow, Nat Faxon and Jim Rash directed it.
Watch that movie. It's a perfect spring into summer movie. Okay.
Really?
Yeah, perfect.
Oh,
perfect.
It's from the same people that brought you Little Miss Sunshine and Juno. I love
You already know it's gonna be good. Bro, I had the most awkward first date with a girl ever watching Juno. It was a girl. I'm not gonna name drop. I went one of my first dates ever. I went with a girl to the movies. We decided.
Why do I know her? Do I know her?
Oh, for sure.
Really?
But I'm not gonna name drop. I'm not gonna name.
I'll drop the names
offline. Went to see Juno. A movie about teenage pregnancy.
Yes, it is.
And her mom was chaperoning.
Oh my dude. Also, I saw recently that this girl was like, I remember thinking Jason Bateman was the coolest person when I first watched Juno. He was like this dad that was hip. And now when I'm older and I'm watching Juno, he's kind of a fucking creep. The way that he talks to Juno, he's really creepy. And everything that he's doing. I used to think that Jennifer Garner was such an uptight mom, but she's a great mom. Look at what she's trying to protect Juno. It's so funny going back and watching movies.
I don't remember anyone else from that movie besides what's the name of the girl?
Ellen Page.
Ellen Page and
Elliot
Michael
Page.
Cera.
No, Elliot.
And now Elliot, formerly Ellen.
Formerly
Page.
known as Ellen Page.
Yeah, you're in Westworld.
I was.
And you acted alongside
Aaron Paul
and a real
legend.
thespian, not like Aaron Paul. Like Aaron Paul's a bum compared to the other thespian you worked alongside, Marshawn Lynch.
I have a great story about Marshawn.
I'm just kidding. By the way, Aaron Paul, I'm just freaking trolling, by the way. Aaron Paul has one of the best, by the way, his wife is beautiful.
Beautiful. Lauren. Lovely woman.
And they got one of the best Architectural Digest episodes ever.
Dude. Bro. All right.
I'm
so happy you brought that up.
And they talk
Walton Goggins. Have you seen Walton Goggins?
I just saw it. I love Walton Goggins now. I just love him. After Fallout and now White Lotus, and I don't know what's up with him in White Lotus. You know
Righteous Gemstones. He's great in
I'm going to have you on Story Archives, and me and you can talk White Lotus, because
let's do it.
I was going to talk White Lotus, but then they started bringing in this whole incest vibe into the final third of the episode.
Yeah, with the brother. With the brother.
Like, I don't know how to traverse this. I feel like the older brother.
We talked about that too.
I think the older brother sexually violated both of his siblings.
I think that, yeah. And I think it's probably because the dad did it to him.
Oof, that's dark as shit.
But I mean, you don't do that out of nowhere. A kid learns.
Yeah, I would have to assume, yeah. The mom is weird too. The mom seems pilled out.
Medicated. Did you see the after? Did you see the
I don't watch those
after?
I don't watch those. I don't watch those out of habit, because I never know if I'm gonna talk about something.
All right.
So I don't watch them because I like to give my take raw and not because the actor told me what is actually happening.
I understand.
But I probably should have. The moment I saw Patrick,
if you just like acting, it's cool to watch those.
It's hard to take it out of my mind though, and then lie to the audience about because then I would have to lie, and my take would be influenced by the actual actor's take.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So I
won't tell you what she says then.
No, you can tell. You can tell me. For this, it doesn't really matter too much. But like for severance and stuff, it's a little more.
The medicated aspect of it. She's at a point in life in which she's very happy, but she's medicated kind of constantly. She's not a bad woman, but through circumstances of her life, she's used to things, right? If she needs to sleep, she'll take a pill, right? It's all these little innocuous things that you do that you build habits of in your life because they just help you. You understand what I'm saying? And then it becomes this thing in which towards the very end, it's sort of a blanket over
all the transgressions that have happened under her watch that she could have done.
Yeah.
That's my first.
Her husband's a good man. You know, she's like, everybody says you're a great man.
Everybody says I've heard from everybody says you're a great man.
Everybody tells me you're a great man.
She doesn't say, I think you're a great man. She says, everybody tells me you're a great man. White Lotus is fantastic at the subtext, but a little bit like in your face subtext, not like Mad Men subtext where if you ever seen
Mad Men is way, of course, dude. It's way more.
Matthew Weiner to me is like a personal, like somebody to me who's a master. There's in Mad Men, there's a guy who gets fired for pissing his pants in the middle of a sales. Okay, he literally pisses his pants because he's a drunk. And Don and Roger take him out for one last.
Who was it? Jared. I
forget what his name is.
The English guy. The English guy.
No, that's the guy who hangs himself.
Yes.
Or kills himself in the car. Actually, no, he hangs himself.
No, he hangs himself
because the car fails and he has to go to his office and do it, which is so freaking dark. So dark.
Anyways, Don and
Roger take out this guy. It's in the first or second season, and they take him out for like one last Freddie is his name, and everything is communicated through subtext. Freddie's trying to fight for his job, and everything Roger and Don are saying back to him is subtext like, "We love you, but you have to go." Like it's pretty much time.
We did everything we could to keep you on.
And there's not a single line that says that. There's not a single line. It's just understood man to man. This is what happens, and that's what Mad Men is great at. And I love shows that don't hold your hand, that they trust the audience to be big boys with big pants on, and and to figure
Breaking Bad, bro. When Walt lets Jane die.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Talk about subtext. Yeah. He can save her.
Yeah, 100%.
By the way, lets her die.
We keep deviating because we talk so well. Westworld.
Yeah.
What was it like? Was that your up till that point in your acting career? Was that the biggest set you had been on? And even compared to Dexter, is that the biggest set you've been on with the most moving parts going on?
Yeah, Dexter and Westworld are up there.
Yeah.
And I was on a show prior to that called I Feel Bad. I had a one-liner. It's an NBC show. I shot on the Universal lot. I'll never forget. It was like living a dream. I had 2 lines, 2 scenes. It was incredible. And it was Sorry You Blue and Paul Edelstein. I don't know how to say his last name. And really nice people. And anyways, it only won a season, but that was a big show. NBC has a lot of money, but HBO, I love HBO because they do not spare any expense. They will let you do what you need to do, especially when you know what you're doing.
100%. So
at that point, the Westworld was their tentpole. That was the first season Aaron Paul was on, so they were banking on that, right? Yeah, but yeah, it was the biggest thing that I'd been on up to that point. And Marshawn, I just gotta say this story about Marshawn. He probably won't even remember this. But obviously, I had read for the scene in my audition, and it said the name of the character that I was in the scene with, and I knew Aaron Paul was in the show, but they hadn't released his name yet. So I see the day before, I get the call sheet, and it has all the list of people in the cast that'll be there the next day, and of course, I see Aaron Paul, and I'm shitting my pants, dude. I'm like, oh my god. Oh my god!
They hid that from you.
Yeah, yeah.
They hid that from you.
Oh yeah. But then I see Marshawn Lynch on there, and I'm thinking, I'm like, Marshawn Lynch,
what a cameo.
The Hall of Fame running back, the soon-to-be Hall of Fame running back, Marshawn Lynch. I think he's a Hall of Fame.
Isaac, what's that process like to get that role? How many auditions did you have to do for that and Dexter?
One.
To compare them. So you got it in the
one
first
for Westworld. Well, because I was only supposed to be in one scene. And they wrote me into a second episode.
And so how quickly after that audition did you find out?
Oh man, probably like a month and a half later.
You must have celebrated so hard.
Oh, dude, I was running around my apartment. I was freaking out because I was a huge fan of Westworld. I think the first season is one of the most masterful seasons on television all time.
To me,
True Detective. First season of True Detective.
Yeah.
Westworld.
First season of Walking Dead.
First season of Walking Dead. First season of Mad Men. I think that the first season of Mad Men, hot take.
Yeah.
I think the first season of Mad Men is better than the first season of Breaking Bad.
Yeah, agreed 100%. Because
you get at the end of Mad Men, you get the twist with Don Draper and who he actually is, and that he has a family.
The way you get that in the first episode.
Oh, that's right, the first episode.
But
yes, that's
at
right.
the end of the first season, you get the carousel episode.
Who he is.
You get the carousel, right? You get to find out who he is, who he's not.
His real name.
They probably spent half the budget of the show on licensing Bob Dylan's Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. And it's just him. They film it masterfully. He's coming home and he imagines the life he should have, which is a happy husband coming home and him and his wife go on a vacation with their kids. But it instead ends with his wife already gone. She's already left without him. And he's sitting on the stairs by himself. And you hear the epic guitar of Bob Dylan kick in. And it's, if you ever sit and wonder why, baby.
Oh.
If you don't know right now. And the reason that show sticks out so much in my memory is that for the longest time, that song was one of my favorite songs of all time. And I never knew the name of it. I couldn't figure it out. I could not deconstruct it and find out what the name of the song was because I could not remember the words. And then it just played at the finale. And I was like, damn it, this is so good. So you're in Westworld. I agree with you. Yeah. We talked about the Thanos gauntlet of shows. I was going to mention, remember I said earlier in the episode, remind me to bring up Westworld.
Yes.
Because we've talked about being a master at your craft. We've talked about just getting good at your craft. And there's nobody a better example of that than Anthony Hopkins. Okay. And Anthony Hopkins, I cannot watch The Father because I have a very close personal tie to people with dementia. My grandfather had it. My grandmother had it. And when you love somebody and they don't recognize your face, it is heart-wrenching, okay? And he's in a movie that I just, to this day, I cannot bring myself to watch.
Bro. I have a sidebar about The Father. Don't let me forget that.
No, I won't. But there's a scene in Westworld Season 1 where the board comes to him because he's the founder of this company who they think has gone off the deep end, and they want to reel him in. And he's sitting and he's having a dinner or a lunch at this sort of Italian-looking, what you would imagine in Tuscany. And he rocks. I mean,
he pauses everything. That's when everybody pauses, right?
He owns a scene. Everybody pauses in the field. The waiter pauses. The drink, the liquid on the cup pauses. Everything pauses. And it's probably, and I'm saying this maybe as a prisoner of the moment, it might be the most masterful control of a scene I've ever seen.
I remember that.
Across any medium of acting. It is an incredible scene. And it honestly makes the whole season, that one scene.
Dude.
I think it's in the first few episodes.
The ending also is unbelievable.
The ending is unbelievable.
Of that first season.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. His videos, if nobody's ever seen Anthony Hopkins' social media, please go watch it. Do yourself a favor. Go watch it. The man is a national treasure of all the nations that he belongs to. He's incredible. He is such a guy that just wants to live life, have a happy life, and just do what he does. He literally talks about the fact that he started in stage, master of his craft, but he just wanted to be a movie star. He goes, I just wanted to ride down the PCH in a convertible with my hair flowing in the wind. That's all he wanted. And he is so amazing. He is amazing. I think it's Henry V or Richard III. I don't remember which Shakespeare it is. I always get it mixed up. But he does one where he's a king.
King Lear?
And then I don't think it's King Lear because he's young. King Lear's an older figure. You got to finish Succession. Succession is essentially King Lear. You have to finish it. Okay. It is one of the best shows of all time. And I don't say that lightly. It is one of the best shows of all time.
Shakespeare is the one thing I've always wanted to be in.
Same. I agree with you. And I'm not really a big Shakespeare guy, to be honest.
So Cumberbatch played Hamlet, right?
Yep.
And I remember Spee was a big Shakespeare head. And I actually went with Spee to the movies to watch Cumberbatch play Hamlet. And he said, that's probably the best performance I've ever seen as Hamlet. And
wow.
And for him to say that, who he is I'm a fake Shakespeare head. He gifted me. If I shift this camera, you see all those little mini books on the top second shelf on the right-hand side?
On my left, you're right.
Yeah, it's above the Bible there.
I don't know. There. Point your hand toward.
Right here.
Yes, that's what I've been looking at that.
Okay, all those books, he gifted them to me. Those are all Shakespeare's works there that he was going to get rid of them, so he just gave them to me. And he said Cumberbatch is probably the best performance I've ever seen.
Wow, man.
At least up there. And that brings to mind the body control that Cumberbatch had as Hamlet, and the body control that some actors need to have. They take dance classes or stretching or yoga, whatever they do to get body control. Probably be where I would be weakest if I was acting. I would have to go do ballet or some crap in order to get body control, because I was going to ask you if there's a role, and I wanted to ask you what's the best direction you got, but we won't go. I guess we won't go there at least until the end, maybe. If there's a role that you've seen out there in any example of work that you look at and you're like, I would love to just be able to, the Oscars role, how they do the posthumous and they like somebody passed away and they show a clip of something.
Yeah.
So Isaac, if there was any scene, because I have one that comes to the top of my head of what I would have loved. I mean, if I was an actor, I would love to have it on the top of my portfolio or something I'd love to do. Is there an actor you've seen or a scene that you've seen that you're like, I want to do more work like that comes to mind? I could share mine to maybe get your gears turning if you need to.
I mean, yeah, what's yours? My gears are turning, but what's
mine
yours?
was, and not even a movie that I love that much, but a scene that to me, I saw the actor in it and I said, man, that is so good. Was the intro to Mad Max Fury Road, Tom Hardy, the intro where he's pretty much held hostage by these creatures, and the running through the tunnels and the body control that Tom Hardy has in that scene. And I saw it, and just the opener that I'm on the edge of my seat already at the opening of the movie, that I thought to myself, damn, that's a great moment for an actor right there.
Man, that's a good question. I think when I think about that, it's not in terms of so much of a scene as much as it is the kinds of movies that I would love to make. I love movies like Chef.
Oh,
Have
yeah,
you ever seen Chef?
Bradley Cooper?
No, that's
my
Burnt.
bad. Chef is with Jon Favreau.
Jon Favreau.
I
yes.
confuse him. I'm a big chef guy. I love anything chef culinary. I just did a documentary about a sushi place. Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. But I love that movie. That kind of movie, family style movie, A Real Pain. The movie, I don't know if you've seen it. Kieran Culkin and Jesse Eisenberg. It just came out.
Seen it.
It's in this Oscars.
I saw their little press tour that they were doing.
Yeah, that type of family drama is the kind of thing that, for whatever reason, I really yearn for. At the same token, I would love to do something where I can just be as big and unleashed as possible. To me, it's like very much the type of roles that I want to go after. I love Lord of the Rings. Okay, how about this? If there's a fucking scene that I would love to be in, it's Aragorn telling Frodo at the end of Fellowship of the Ring. No, not at Return of the King. Fellowship of the Ring at the end. Before then, Fellowship of the Ring, when Frodo's at the top and Aragorn turns to him and he's like, "I'm here for you," and he goes, "Run, leave, get out of here." When they're at Osgiliath or wherever they are. And he just looks at that scene when he looks at all of the orcs and the Uruk-hai and he just fucking fights all of them on his own. And Jon Snow, Battle of the Bastards, when his horse goes down and he looks up and he sees all of those horses running towards him, and he decides to unbuckle his sword belt, take out his sword, and before he even does that, he sees all the horses coming towards him, and but he kind of looks down and he kind of like nods for a second before he takes off his sword belt, because he goes, all right, I'm about to die. If I die, I'm going to take at least one of these motherfuckers down with me. And he just unbuckles his sword belt and is just holding, I forget what the name of his sword is, but not Kingmaker. That's Jaime's sword. Whatever.
I'll look it up right now. Keep going.
Whatever the fucking sword that he has. But that scene right there just gives me these goosebumps and chills. That type of action
is what it's called.
That's his sword's name.
Well, did he inherit? Did he inherit Ned Stark's sword at that point in the series? Is the question, because that's a Ned Stark sword.
Well, it's not called Ice. His sword is not called Ice. No, it wasn't.
That was Ned Stark's sword.
No, it was not called
That
Ice.
was Longclaw?
Longclaw sounds more along the lines of it. Ice was not the name of a sword.
Ice was Ned Stark's sword.
No, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I read the books.
Look it up.
I don't believe
Ice,
it.
Sword of shit. It's from the wiki.
I don't believe it.
Game of Thrones. I read Game of Thrones too. I just didn't read any of the others. I didn't read the other ones. If he would finish the series,
wow, it's called Ice.
If he would finish the series, I would read them all, because then it would give me hope that Daenerys didn't lose her crap above King's Landing.
Ice. His name is the sword is called. Ice.
Are you thinking
That's
of Neil?
Weird. Nope.
Oath.
Jon Snow's
Oathbreaker.
Was it maybe
Who the hell had the Oathbreaker?
Oathbreaker? Longclaw is. Anyways, doesn't matter. The point is that scene. I mean, the ability to have a sense of freedom as much as the Joker does in The Dark Knight is another amazing thing to have. I also grew up on Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura, just going so broad and so big and being able to do something like that.
You haven't done comedy
really
yet.
To me, man. No, I haven't, because nobody looks at me and says that guy could do comedy.
They're making a mistake there.
Brother, you preach it. Anybody who's lasted these 3 hours, just listen to this portion. Put me in a comedy. Right, Sky? Should I do a comedy, Sky?
Yeah, I love Sky. I've never even met Sky. I love it. If I wanted to do a side quest, I'd be your agent, bro. I'd be fighting for you.
Dope.
If I wanted to do a side quest, I'd get you the best fucking gigs out there, because I'd write them for you.
And that's what I care more about. Let's get to that, dog. Let's
I see people. That's what I would totally do. There's a story of a guy who wrote a role for Viggo Mortensen. Viggo's one of my favorite actors ever.
Captain Fantastic is another great movie.
I love that movie.
Unbelievable.
Absolutely love that movie. I would love to do that for people, man. I would honestly. There's a story of a guy who went up to Viggo Mortensen at a grocery store in Argentina and showed him a script, and he said, "I wrote a role for you. Would you read it?" And I think he read it, and he agreed to be in it. And I don't remember what it was. It could be a fake story for all I know, but I'm pretty positive it was real. You ever want to watch a great movie? Watch Eastern Promises with Viggo Mortensen. He plays a Russian mobster, and he's just
okay. Then The History of Violence is the Oscar Isaac Jessica Chastain
History of Violence is another movie with Viggo Mortensen.
It's another Viggo
where
Mortensen?
he forgets that he has a history of violence. It's not my favorite movie of his, but I think it's also the same director of Eastern Promises. Eastern Promises is an insane good movie.
A Most Violent Year.
A Most Violent Year is the Oscar Isaac one.
Yes. Also another great Oscar Isaac.
It's Jessica a solid
is HBO.
A Marriage Story.
Scenes from a Marriage. Scenes from a Marriage. Oh, Marriage Story is another great movie. That's another Noah Baumbach. Great movie.
Noah Baumbach. He has an interesting way with dialogue where people speak over each other the way normal people would speak. Like you listen to this podcast and you'll have a comment. If somebody listens to this podcast for 3.5 hours, God bless you, because that's what I want this to be, honestly. So like if anybody comes in here expecting an hour conversation, then do you listen to Joe Rogan? Okay, so like you ever know, because like when somebody's that famous as Joe Rogan is, you start to microanalyze things about Joe Rogan, right? So if you see an hour episode or an hour and a half episode with Joe Rogan, you know Joe Rogan wasn't feeling the conversation, right? If you see,
or those people just had a hard out. That's the other thing I think about. Now that where he's at, it's those people that just come in and are like, "Hey, I can only be here for an hour and a half, but I really need to do I really want to be in your podcast." Whatever.
Exactly, one of the two. But usually sometimes he'll cut it short, and because it's just not flowing. Because you have a sense of when something is flowing, right? And that's what I want this to be. Like I want somebody to see a 3-hour conversation and not be like, God damn, I can't listen to a 3-hour conversation. I want it to be like the conversation was so good that it lasted 3 hours.
Yeah, bro. I get it. Café con Pod is the same.
Which I wasn't expecting. I honestly, I booked you. I paid your rate for an hour. So let's get into the closing bit here. I don't have a closing.
Yeah.
But
great.
Man, there's a few scenes just like in cinema history that just stick out to mind that like just resonate with me. Sean Penn losing his crap in Mystic River. You know, finding out, is that my daughter, Sean? Is that my, you know, that whole bit, you know. I don't know. I do want to get that out of you. What I mean, what are you hoping for? Because like as a director, right? I'm not there yet. You know, I know you've talked about this. You ask people like in your offstage podcast, you ask people like, are you fulfilled? Are you happy? You know? And I think the honest question to that, at least for me, is that no, I'm not fulfilled. I try to be fulfilled every day to fulfill myself. There are some days I'm fulfilled, right? There's some days I'm not fulfilled. You know, the last 2 weeks I've had a pleasure of, I worked on a music video till 2 a.m. It just helped out. And the way he was doing the music video was so on the fly. It was so problem solving in the moment. How do we mount this camera to the car? Like, we want to mount this, but we don't want to see the dash too much. And then we had a kitchen scene and they were going to light it a certain way. And I said, how about you don't light it that way? What if you put the light through the window and we'll have like this kind of, you had an amber look in the room and we'll have like a kind of a blue moonlight look in the kitchen. And just that, it was like a purity of getting back to that, to that feeling of fulfillment. You know, what is your thing that you want to work towards?
I got a couple of thoughts. I can answer that very simply, but before I say that, I can understand the answer you gave about fulfillment in terms of it being every single day, because I think that is the striving towards fulfillment every single day is what we take on a lot as artists as well. The plight of an artist is sort of never being fulfilled until you look back. My mom told me a long time ago, just stop and look back and see how much you've done in a year. And it's okay to rest and see that. Even God rested. We're taking Shabbat seriously. My wife is Jewish, and we do Shabbat every Friday. So from Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, what I pretty much just kind of exclude is all social media.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So
I want to do that more.
It's a great, yeah, you need a day to rest. I didn't realize how important that was until we started doing it. So anyways, I just want to tell you, you're doing a great job of seeking out those things in a healthy manner to find fulfillment. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, I know the scene that I want to do now. When you were talking about that.
I bantered enough. I'll bantered enough to get your gears going.
I'll get back to what I'm always trying to get back to. The scene I want to do is Tim Robbins in Shawshank Redemption when he gets out and he's in the river and he's looking up. That's the scene that I want to do because it's a whole story that leads to that moment. I think Shawshank Redemption is one of the perfect.
Oh, it's a perfect.
I love that movie. Perfect movie.
Get busy living or get busy dying.
Get busy dying. My friend Andy Dufresne. So I love that scene. That's something that I would long to do. You know, I love Back to the Future. I think the original Back to the Future is also one of the most perfect movies. Anyways, I digress. What I'm trying to get back to is high school Theodore Isaac. That's what I'm trying constantly to get back to the person that sees the magic and is enraptured by the magic of this whole thing, that you just kind of lose all sense of the mechanics, all sense of the obstructions in your brain. The older that you get, the more voices and sort of whispers and fog gets inside of you. And when you're doing it in theater in high school, you're not getting paid. It doesn't matter who's coming to watch it. It's altruistic. It's exciting. It's scary. It's nerve-wracking. It's enticing. It's new. It's everything that makes you want to fall in love, you know? And that's what I'm always trying to get back to, that guy that didn't judge. Because once you get past the curtain of Oz, I see Zach is still in there, so he might still be listening. But once you get, that's all right. We love you, Zach. Once you see the behind the curtain, you see who the Wizard of Oz is. You're kind of like, oh, okay, all right, and then you kind of start to lose a sense of that magic. So I'm always trying to get back to that kid in high school who didn't know what he was doing. Right? Obviously, I want to be better in my skill set, but I want to get back to that kid who had a moment on stage that changed his life.
Thank you for being the first official episode of our Story Archives conversation, whatever the hell this is going to be called. Story Convos by Story Archives, whatever it's going to be called.
Turtleneck Talks. I'm submitting Turtleneck Talks.
I appreciate you doing this. It's 12:58 a.m. Eastern time. Okay. February 19th in the year of our Lord Jesus Christ. And I was expecting this to go from 9 to 10:30. I'm glad it went from 9 to 12:59. I appreciate you. I love you, bro. I feel like we're closer than ever, even closer than we were in high school.
Agreed. 100%.
And I'm glad you did it. Thank you all for tuning in. Whoever listened this long, email us at contact@soapbox.house. Comment on this podcast that you made it this long into the episode. If you did, I don't know what else to say to you other than I love you. And
yes, I love you too.
And yeah, thank you for tuning in. We're also covering Severance by Apple TV right now. Isaac's watching White Lotus, so I am planning to have him on to do a Story Archives episode where we break down White Lotus.
And Sky loves.
Can we have
White
her
Lotus
on too?
also.
Can she be dual?
Yes.
We do that too. I've never met your wife. That would be delightful. She's a brilliant actress in her own right. She has a movie coming out on what day, Isaac?
February 23rd, Sunday, February 23rd on Lifetime at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard, 5 p.m.
She didn't have to work more than 30 seconds into that plug, okay? But Isaac, because she did speak for about 30 seconds in this podcast, and Isaac, you can catch him on Dexter Original Sin. He is playing Geo. I am so sorry, y'all, that we didn't talk too much about his acting, but like I said, we're experimenting. We'll do a part 2. This was a freaking blast. I'd do this on the regular, to be honest. Just chat it up with my boy. And yeah, brother, I wish you the best. And may we do many more podcasts together.
Amen. Ditto. Thank you.
Anything you want to plug before we go?
What do I want to plug? Love and Happiness. Oh, I was in a scripted podcast called Dragon Age. Vows
I was going to say, you won a Tribeca Film Festival award for a podcast. Did you not?
For the very worst thing that could possibly happen. Yeah. And it's a long name. Great. Both of them are great podcasts. I did like 30 voices on Dragon Age, Vows and Vengeance, and it just got Ambi nominated, which is like the Oscars for. Do
you record those from home or you go to a studio?
No, I went to a studio for both those.
That's so cool. So you're doing Dragon Age. Dexter's about to be done, or is it already done?
Done. Dexter's done. Last episode was last week. Please watch Dexter Original Sin. One of the greatest experiences of my life. Watch my wife's movie, Sky Coin. That's her name, Sky Coin. And yeah, Love and Happiness. I want to plug Love and Happiness and laughing. Hope you guys laugh a lot today.
Remember this pod when you see Isaac on the next Chris Nolan film, the one after Odysseus.
Oh no! I'll be in whatever. Odysseus? I'll be like the droplings of. Well,
let's put it out there, because look, you never know. Chris Nolan might be drunk on a Friday night, being like, "Let me just find some random cinema TV podcast."
I met him. I met Chris Nolan. That's a story for another time.
How are you not going to say at least a little bit about it?
That's for part 2, baby. Part 2.
You met him on Westworld. You had to have met him on Westworld.
No. Nope. So part deuce and manifesting just being in a Chris Nolan movie as, supporting character, just someone who's fun. I like being fun things. Maybe something on the side.
I'll be your assistant. I'll literally pick up your mocha lattes for free. For free, Chris Nolan.
You gotta try one. You gotta try one.
Whatever I gotta do, I will do. I'll do it as long as you can just like provide me a couple meals a day and a bed.
This is the longest closing of a podcast.
the first of its kind, pal. It's the first of its kind. I guarantee you, someone's gonna love it. You know, my favorite. You know what I'm looking most forward to with this podcast is the micro content.
Oh, there's a lot.
I was gonna make a whole joke about like how we like to make our guests feel as uncomfortable as possible, but you've been too comfortable the whole time.
Well, whiskey helps.
True. I'm like 3 glasses. I might be hungover tomorrow. I gotta finish it.
Yeah.
All right, bro. Let's end this recording. Thank you all for tuning in to the Story Archives podcast. I'm your host, Mario Busto. Zach is AFK at the moment, but we'll be back on Thursday or Friday with Severance, our coverage there. Isaac, thank you for joining us as the official episode 1 of Story Archives Conversations. And until part 2, where you just tease the Christopher Nolan meeting. This is effed up. Have a good one, man. I guess after doing that. Peace. Take care, y'all. Have a great week.